Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is Radio Free Mormon on the air, broadcasting behind enemy lines. And I've got my usual trusty co-host, Bill Reel, by my side.
I'm excited for this. This is the second annual, and you do this for a great reason, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Radio Free Mormon. What a great Christmas Eve this will be.
Well, thank you, because I know I'd be lost without you. I mean, I was just trying to put a banner together before the show started, and I almost hurt myself. So it's Christmas Eve. It's December 24th, 2024. It's 5 o'clock in Pacific time zone, which is where I am, 6 in Utah, 7 o'clock p.m. in Central, 8 o'clock p.m. on the East Coast, and God only knows what it is in Australia. Yes, we got some people watching from Australia as well. Down there, I understand it's summer. So what we're doing tonight is I want you to understand this is a live broadcast. This is not recorded. There may be one or two things that have been recorded, but you'll see what those are when they come to them. The main thing is this, is that everybody is live and it's Christmas Eve. And this is a chance for all of us to get together. We see each other in the live chat or maybe just on the screen frequently throughout the year. And I wanted to have a chance, as Bill said, second year in a row, hopefully it'll continue onward, to give all of us the opportunity to get together on Christmas Eve, the specialest night of the year, and share a little slice of that special night together among friends and people that we've come to love and appreciate and consider family in a very real and meaningful way. All right, so let's see who is up first. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I knew I would forget this because it's the most important thing. There is a consortium of individuals, and that word consortium can have bad connotations. This one is in the best of connotations. It's a group of individuals that have gotten together, pulled some resources in order to try and help out folks who may be a little bit down on their luck at this time of year, maybe some money short between making ends meet. And what it is that they do is they look at requests and they try and meet them as best they can with the resources that they have. It is a private, very relatively small group of individuals who absolutely forbid me to say who they are. But I know who they are, and I feel that you can trust them with this information, okay? So here's how it's got to run, all right? It's got to run this way, is that you email me at radiofreemormon1 at gmail.com. I'm sorry, I was trying to think of the rest of the sentence before I got to the end of my email. radiofreemormon1 at gmail.com. In that email, please write down what it is you're requesting, how much, put a dollar figure next to it, and a brief description of what's happening and the need. It doesn't have to be detailed. There's no judgment here. There's no shame here, okay? I'm not going to be reading these. The only reason that you'll need to email them to me is because I'm the middle person so that their identities remain unknown. And what I will be doing, these have to be received by the end of the show tonight, which is why I'm belaboring the point. They have to be received by the end of the show tonight, because at the end of the show, after all the lights go off, I will go to my email account. That's radiofreemormon1. I'm going to put this banner up because then maybe... There it is. It'll help me remember my own email address. There it is. radiofreemormon1 at gmail.com. By the end of the show, I will forward those all to my contact and then see what happens as Christmas rolls around. All right. So let's see who we have up on the list. First, we've got so many people who are famous and friends and wonderful people who are going to be here tonight. And they're here live as well, sharing Christmas Eve with us and with you. Is Martine here? Is Martine Smith? She is.
Hi.
Martine.
Yes, I am.
How
Hey.
are you doing?
Bill, RFM. Oh, RFM, you're cutting out.
Merry Christmas, Martine.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You just keep cutting out a little bit. I know if you're muting yourself, but anyway, we're missing some of it. So yes, Merry Christmas to both of you and to everybody else who is on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. And you had a prepared thought for us tonight.
I have a prepared thought. Boy, perfect time for my voice to go out. So RFM, when you send out the email to a number of us asking if we would like to participate in the second annual Christmas Eve get-together, virtual get-together, you suggested we tell a story, sing a song, whatever, which I did last year. I didn't sing a song, but I did tell a story, first-person experience story with President Nelson. But you prefaced it by saying one reason for doing this is that there are in our audience, because life as we know it goes on every year, there are people in our audience who are spending their first Christmas without a loved one. Personally, I have witnessed this year a number of my friends lose close family members in very tragic ways. And so that hit me home. And also what hit me home is that 49 years ago, a couple of months after the loss of our first child, I experienced that Christmas without a loved one that was expected to spend Christmas with us. And of course, for 49 years has not. And a few years later, we lost a daughter in the same way, severe genetic disorder. So I think I'm not an expert, and maybe I speak from experience and the experience of having made mistakes in the way I have over the years handled those losses. And so I'd like to speak to those today who are watching, and they love you, and they love some of us more than others. And but they've had a tough year, whether it came early in the year or recently. Tomorrow is Christmas, and there is an empty seat at their table. And okay, I wasn't going to cry. And they're wondering about whether to hang the stocking or not, and whether to keep the traditions they have held for many years. So I'd like to say a few words about that. Most of us on this show tonight likely left a high demand religion. And in our case, those of us who were Mormons for decades, the Mormon Church had answers for everything, especially life's trials. And especially death. If you lose a child, if an infant dies, they only needed a body. They just came to get a body. That's all they needed. They didn't need to be tried. If it's a teenager, a young adult, well, they're off on a mission. The Lord needs more missionaries on the other side. One of the most egregious supposed answers, and that's often seen at a funeral of a young parent of young children, is that usually it's leadership. Somebody in leadership will stand and say, God needed him more on the other side. And I can't think of anything more painful and more horrendous, actually, to say to a grieving parent and their children than this. I think of those also when you lose a child, they tell you you're going to get to raise them in the next life, which is a uniquely Mormon concept, and that comes straight from Joseph. I think of those statements as grief-stopping techniques. We often talk about thought-stopping techniques. To me, these are grief-stopping techniques. And I experience them, and I am certain everybody who's experienced a loss in Mormonism has heard those. And we take those to heart maybe more often than not. I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes. We've experienced a lot of cultural and religious dogma in our lives, which is ingrained into us, and it's really difficult to let go of. There are concepts and ideas that are attractive, and they make us feel better at the time. Honestly, they did for me. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. It is hard. So, okay, let me turn over. You're going to find out that not everyone has earned the right to hear your story. That story of your loved one, their life, their passing, your loss, and the impact it has in your lives. Not everybody has earned that right. Even people close to you sometimes don't want to hear it. They will use grief stopping techniques because they just don't want to process that. But there will be others who have earned that right. And I found that even today, nearly 50 years later, when someone asks me, you can sense if somebody is open to your story or not. And if they're not, it will hurt you more to tell that story. So sometimes it's not the right time. It's not the right place. You're in a restaurant, whatever. You're in a public place. It's not. But you will feel that. And don't tell it if you can feel that it's not, that person is not receptive, because it will hurt you more. To have someone not accept your heart-wrenching story is extremely hurtful. Please know that you are not alone in your grief. There are people around you who are willing to listen. And I think I missed one of my points about the dogma. But one thing that has been invaluable to me this year, and it's a little strange to say after this many decades, has been trauma therapy, and especially EMDR, as it's called, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And if you are in pain, and you are, I mean, if you've lost someone, obviously you are, but don't shove that grief in, like I did, frankly, in a little box. What I found is that for 49 years, I allowed myself 4 days a year to grieve. And I found out this year I need it every single day. And I'm catching up. That doesn't mean I cry every day, far from it. Dealing with grief is not about grieving and crying every day. It's learning how to live with it. Your feelings are important. They're important to you, and they need to be respected by other people. Choose the right people for you to listen to them. Find a good therapist. And I hope that you will reach out to some of us who've undergone hard things as well, and that so that you won't feel alone. You can reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martine. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry
You're
Christmas,
wonderful.
all of you.
That was incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, who wants to go after Martine? No, we have a list that we have to go through. I feel like we need to have a little bit of a pause here. Oh my gosh. I started crying, and then, she talked about something else, and then I thought I was going to be okay. Then she started talking about, and I started crying again.
Yeah. It is that time of year, right, where a lot of people are sort of planning to do fun things and whatnot, but there's also a lot of folks who really have a hard time during the holidays, huh?
Yeah. One of the reasons I wanted to stress that this is live, because we are all together in real time, even though it's in different time zones.
Yeah. Martine,
all right. Well, the next person on the list is going to have to be in the military or something to have enough cojones to follow Martine. Do we have someone to fit that? Is it Phil McLemore, Radio Free Mormon's personal military chaplain? Is he here?
You got me.
Semper Fi. How are you doing?
I promise no tears.
Okay. You're going to tell the story about the swearing military chaplain like I told you to?
No, I'm not, but you got me in the same time frame.
Okay. Well, I will get out of your way and let you share what it is.
So this is a real story, home for Christmas military style. So in 1994, I had been serving as a United States Air Force chaplain for 10 years and was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was a major at the time, and we had 4 teenage children at home. You might remember that year, thousands, tens of thousands of Cubans and Haitians jumped on boats and rafts and headed for Miami, Florida. The United States did not want these folks to touch American soil, and so the U.S. Navy was ordered to apprehend them on the water. It was decided to house them in tents behind barbed wire with rows of porta potties on an undeveloped area of Guantanamo Bay Naval Base. So you might remember Guantanamo Bay from the movie A Few Good Men. This turned out to be about 30,000 people, which were divided into camps of 3,000. The United States Army was charged with setting up the Haitian and Cuban camps and keeping them confined. The Air Force was assigned to run a camp for the deployed personnel who would be working in the refugee camps. Understandably, riots broke out and the situation became dangerous. Sadly, Army MPs tend to do their social work with nightsticks. So one of the generals decided to toss in a bunch of military chaplains to see if we could settle the situation. I was assigned to be the senior chaplain in Haitian Camp Number 5 with 3,000 unhappy Haitians. We initially resolved issues of clothing, food, shoes, and safety for women. However, discontent brews when there's tons of free time. So we began to do dozens of things to help fill that time either productively or enjoyably. I'll just mention 2. We began having nighttime church, which was held from 8 in the evening until midnight. And half of that time was spent just singing. And Haitians are amazing singers. So it was like a fabulous concert every night. Number 2, line dancing was quite popular in the mid-90s, and my wife and daughters were heavy into line dancing. Fortunately, or providentially, a week before I went to Cuba, they taught me how to do the boot scootin' boogie, so I knew one line dance. One afternoon in the camps, I was thinking maybe I can teach the Haitians to do line dancing. One of the female Army MP lieutenants had the Brooks and Dunn cassette, and so she played it on the camp sound system while I taught hundreds of Haitians in formation to do the boot scootin' boogie, which we did most afternoons. Kind of an attempt at world peace through singing and dancing. As I mentioned, the deployed troops were living in tents and hooches, eating mainly MREs, and we were forbidden to find ways of staying up on the main Guantanamo Bay Naval Base. One day I discovered that one of the Navy chaplains had left the camp and was shacking up with a Navy nurse on the main base in the officer temporary living quarters and not working in the camps. I ratted him out to the Navy colonel in charge of administration, who thanked me, who was trying to get on top of those sorts of things, and made the mistake of saying to me that he owed me a favor. Anyway, after 120 days, as December approached, the government decided to shut down the operation and force the Haitians and Cubans back to their countries. I'd been there 120 days and hoped that I might find a way to be home for Christmas. However, the week before Christmas, the Marine General decided to prioritize his troops for all of the outbound flights, so they would definitely be home for Christmas. Based on that plan, the Air Force and Army troops would not make it home until mid to late January. I went to the Navy colonel and called in my favor. He told me there was no way he could get me on a flight out of there before the Marines got out of there. I told him that wasn't my plan. I only wanted to be officially released and that I would find my own way home, even if I had to swim. He signed my paperwork, freeing me to go, and then warned me if I tried to go on my own, I might be the last person off the island. I said to him, "Sir, I'll be home for Christmas." And he said, "Merry Christmas." I made my way out to the Guantanamo Bay flight line and was trying to work my way out through oddball flights that would come and go. The outbound Navy flight supervisor saw me trying to do that. It irritated him. And in some degree of anger, he said to me that he would make sure I would never get a flight off of that base until all Navy personnel were gone. I went over to hang out at the officers club to figure out plan B and to kind of maybe review my swimming skills, when I noticed 3 people with suitcases and bags coming in to lunch, for lunch. I went over to them and I said, "Did you just arrive on the island?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, how did you get here?" And they said they had been on an unscheduled Air Force cargo plane that had stopped briefly to refuel, and it had dropped them off. Hoping that plane was still out on the runway, I saw a seaman with a little pickup truck out in front of the club. So I ran out there and I grabbed him and I said, "I need your help." Well, most seamen like to help officers, even if they're Air Force. He said, "Sir, what do you need?" And I said, "Can you take me out on the flight line? I think there's a Air Force C-130 out there refueling." He said, "Absolutely." So we jumped in his little pickup and we're blasting out onto the flight line. I asked him to radio the pilot to ask him if I could get on the plane. The Air Force pilot, who was happy to accommodate an Air Force chaplain, said he had already started the engines and that I could jump on the plane if I got there in 3 minutes. All of a sudden, the flight supervisor that had threatened me radioed the seaman in the pickup truck and said to him, "Is that Air Force chaplain out there trying to get on that plane?" And he said, "Well, yes, sir." He said, "I forbid him to go out there. You turn your truck around and bring him back." Then he cut off. The seaman looked at me and he said, "I don't know what to do, sir." And I said, "I'm jumping out." I said, "You just tell him that I jumped out and you didn't stop for me." So he slowed down so I wouldn't be hurt. I opened the door and jumped out. And as I'm jumping out of the truck, he said, "Merry Christmas." I ran to that airplane like a madman and popped into a little man door at the back of the plane. I was the only passenger, and that plane was in motion and taking off as I jumped in. After we got in the air, I went up front and asked the pilot where we were going. I had no idea where we were going. I just wanted out of there. He said, "We're going to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas." I thanked him. And then when I got off the plane and thanked him again, he said to me, "Chaplain, Merry Christmas." When I got to Lackland Air Force Base, I had to find a way to get over to the San Antonio airport. So there was an airman driving off the base. I asked him if he'd give me a ride. He said he could drop me in downtown San Antonio. I took it. However, he dropped me off in kind of a rough area town. It was a little scary. So I'm standing there, putting my thumb out to hitchhike, trying to figure out where San Antonio Airport might be, when suddenly a lowrider rumbling lowrider full of what appeared to be Puerto Rican gang members pulled up next to me. I looked into the car and tattoos, gang colors, big muscles, no BS looks on their faces. And one of them looked out, wanting to know what I was doing in their neighborhood. I explained I was an Air Force chaplain that had been in Cuba for 4 months, and I was just trying to get home for Christmas. The driver very sternly just said, "Get in." I wasn't sure whether I should or not. I wasn't sure whether I'd see Christmas. As an act of faith, I thought, this isn't the chariot sent for Elijah, but I guess I'll take it. So I got in the back of the lowrider, and nobody said a word, but they
Hey,
went
Phil?
out of their way, drove me all the way to the airport, right up to the front drop off.
And you made it.
It's unbelievable. I stepped out of the car, and they waved and said, "Merry Christmas." I walked into the airport, walked up to the counter. There happened to be a seat on a flight to Las Vegas leaving that hour. I got on the plane, got to the Las Vegas airport, called my wife from the airport, and I said, "Kim, Merry Christmas. Come pick me up. I'm at the airport."
Well,
She
speaking of
came.
an airport, we've got people behind you who are backed up and circling over this like airplanes over O'Hare International Airport. You refused to tell the story, damn you, about a swearing chaplain, but instead you told us a story that was chock full of semen. I
Oh,
couldn't
no.
count the number of times that you were talking about that.
Uh,
But I do want to wish you a Merry, Merry Christmas. Phil, thanks so much for coming on the show.
well, you got to hear the end. She picked me up
You're killing me, Smalls.
on the way home. As we're talking about the children and Christmas plans, she suddenly pulled into a hotel parking lot and said, "Merry Christmas."
Yeah, Christmas may have saved your hide that day, huh?
So was it? Oh, I see. Yes.
Anyway.
I thought most people said that around Christmas time. It would be unusual if it were Easter.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, I got home for Christmas through a series of what I would consider to be rather miraculous events. So I was grateful.
They are. And thank you for sharing it with us, Phil. You have a great Christmas too. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I think that Steve Pinecker is lurking about somewhere trying to imitate Santa Claus. There he is from Mormon Book Review, Steve Pinecker.
Merry Christmas.
Good. Merry Christmas to you too.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say I am so thankful to be part of this program. We can now call it an annual event because it's the second year you guys have done this. And I just want to say that it's been a real pleasure to be friends with both of you. You guys have had my back many times, and Radio Free Mormon, I have to say, I'm so grateful to you because it seems like whenever something's happened in my life, you're one of the first people to call me and say, "How you doing, Steve? You doing
The part
okay?"
that you don't know is that I'm actually the one who causes it in the first place. And then you don't know that. And then I call you and I say, "How are you doing, Steve?" As if I'm not the one who did it.
So you're the one who threw my mom down to the ground and broke her hip?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to kind of talk about a little bit about Christmas. Of course, in the past, I've suffered from seasonal affective disorder, especially when I suffered severe depression for a long period of time. So I recognize that this can be a very difficult period this holiday season. I just got back from my church where we had a candlelight service. Pastor Dan Miner gave a great talk for about 10 minutes, and we sang some Christmas carols. And one of the things he talked about how there are many people in this church that have deconstructed their faith. And this can be a very, very difficult time of year to look at the holidays through a different lens after one's had their faith deconstructed. And he says, I just want to make sure that when we do these celebrations, that we do this with respect and we don't try to trigger people. So my pastor's really cognizant of this and very open. But he also gave another message, and that was about how the people that were heralded in Christ during this period of time. Of course, the reason why we're celebrating Christmas is because of the birth of Jesus Christ. He says that you think about it, you had an unwed teenage mother, you had Mary, you had these wise men who were actually sorcerers from an Eastern religion. You had shepherds that angels appeared to who, like he had mentioned, he said, if one of these shepherds went missing, nobody in Jerusalem would ever notice. He says there's all this very people that the religious establishment pushed out of their that were not accepted. Those are the people that God chose to reveal the coming forth of the Son of God. And I think it's really important that we take that same position with our churches. The very people that we are pushing out of the churches are the very people that need to be in the churches, and they need to be made to feel welcome. And so I really think it's really important for this period of time, for this time of year during the Christmas season, is don't let organized religion. Don't let popes, don't let bishops, don't let priests, don't let pastors, don't let any religious authority get in the way of you having a wonderful time during this Christmas season. And so really, that's really the message I wanted to give. You know, I'm an evangelical Christian who loves the people in the Restoration, really love the people in the ex-Mormon community, and really appreciate all of my friends who are going to be speaking tonight. And I wanted to keep it short so we can keep the lines moving along here for you, RFM. And I appreciate
And I understand you are responsible for discovering that talent known as Rebecca Biblioteca.
No, I will tell you, she was going to make it, whether it was with me or without. She was going to find her own voice. Rebecca's a remarkable human being, and I'm glad to call her a friend. Thank you. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas to you too, Steve. Steve calling in from Florida, I expect. So next up is a professor who needs little to no introduction among these parts. It's an anthropologist named Thomas Murphy. Hopefully he's here. I have no idea. I'm just reading out the names on the list as I come to them. Real is telling me no, Thomas Murphy isn't here.
See him in here yet? So no, we don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the next person on the list is, I don't know. I could say anybody and they wouldn't be here. And it sounded like we actually had a great lineup of
Can you see
stars.
down below on StreamYard?
What?
Can you see down below on StreamYard? There's a lot of people here.
I can, but the problem is that there's a certain lineup, and maybe I'm just being too but people try and show up at the time that they're scheduled. So I want to hit those as close as I can. Let's go to Carrie Shirts. Carrie Shirts is here direct from Hangar 18 at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. How are you doing, Carrie?
I'm doing good. I stopped in the library at Wright-Patterson, and there's no religious books here. They're all about UFOs, so doggone it.
It's nice to see you.
It is good to see you
I feel
too.
like we're having a close encounter.
Yeah, this is like having a close encounter. We had one of those down in St. George together with each other, all three of us, didn't we? That was fun times at that Thrive. We'll do more of those. So anyway, thanks for having me on the show this year. I am very grateful to be a part of it. I will keep my comments brief. Thanks for watching. I got to go now. I'm just kidding. Hold on. I do have something to say. I've got to do something uplifting. Remember, I've got to pull the BYP stunt and leave the camera for just a moment. So there we
call you.
I know. I'm the absent-minded backyard professor dork. So let me just say Merry Christmas to everybody, and we are having fun. I kind of have two lives on YouTube, and this is for my other audience. I have a Mormon, ex-Mormon group of folks that I love dearly, and that's who is gathered here tonight. And we are simultaneously streaming the live. So my UFO family is showing up, and they're asking questions, wondering what in tarnation is this going on. So
then they got my Hangar 18 joke.
Yes, they loved it. I'm telling you, they loved it.
Great.
So for everybody involved,
that was for you guys.
There we go. For everybody involved, we are just gathered together to try to help folks who are alone tonight, on Christmas Eve, and for no reason of their own, or they can't get with family. And so we kind of provide a means of getting together for an hour and a half or two online with them and just saying cheers and telling a brief little story or something uplifting that happened to you during the year, etc. And so we have a lot of fun, even though it's pretty stressful at times. Being an ex-Mormon, almost as stressful as being a ufologist. It really is. There's a lot of critics both ways. I came out of the Mormon apologetics, and now I'm no longer believing that. Like I tell everybody, no matter what subject I get into, it doesn't matter if it's Mormon truth or historical truth or UFO truth, whatever subject, I just want it to be real. And that's what I'm about. That's what I'm after. And I believe that the spirit, the power of Christmas is real. Now, Mormons technically won't tell you this, but Jesus was born in April. But they go ahead and celebrate Christmas anyway on December 25th because, of course, Joseph Smith's birthday is so darn close they can get 2 for 1. No,
I feel like it just beamed down into a different podcast.
So I wanted to say Merry Christmas to absolutely everybody here. I'm grateful for all of you. I love all of you. We're having a good time. Let's look forward to a really good 2025 where we just rock the joint with excellent knowledge, great friendship, boatloads of love, etc. And I'll call it good there, RFM. Thank you once again, my good brother.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Backyard. Good night. Wow. People come and go so quickly around here. Now we are going to have, and actually the next person, you're going to not believe I booked this guy on the show. Famous director, actor, been in Hollywood forever. Mr. Clint Eastwood is going to be on the show now. Wait a second. Bill, are you shaking your head again? He's not here?
I mean, I look a lot like Clint Eastwood. I'm looking down below. I see some names. I don't see any of them.
There's no Clint Eastwood? Dang it. Okay.
He's a little late tonight.
Well, never mind. Oh, good news. He must be with Thomas Murphy, but Thomas Murphy just showed up. There he is. Thomas Murphy got his time zones mixed up. That's because
sorry about that.
Lately. Have you been traveling a lot lately across time zones?
I just misread your email. Is basically my,
sorry.
It's probably 5 o'clock Pacific, 6 Mountain, and then as I started thinking about it, I was out on my walk. And that's not right. It has to be the other way around. And then I pulled the show up, and Steve was on, and my name came up, and I was still rushing in the house. But I do still have something to share with you.
Good. Is that your library you're sitting in?
My office, yeah, with a library here.
It looks like there's a lot of books.
Just a few. And yeah, I got more bookcases coming that are going to fill up the middle of the room.
That many books kind of scare me.
Yeah. Well, I was out in my backyard digging around, and well, I found a rock. I think it's a special one. It has my name on it.
Wait a second. What do you mean? It has your name on it?
Yeah, it's hard to see the name, but if you look really closely, or better yet, if you put it in a hat, and you look into the hat.
Oh.
And it has my name written on it.
Okay, there it is. I see it now.
Yeah. See that hat? It's a pretty powerful little hat. Wow. I think I see some gold plates in here. Christmas. It is Christmas.
Wait a second.
Gold plate for Radio Free Mormon.
It says, yes, I can.
Yeah, from Trader Joseph's.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And there's another one. Another gold plate, one for Bill. How about that?
Hey, you can give that one to me too.
Yeah.
What are they? I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not a Trader Joe's frequenter such that I know what that is.
It's a gold plate.
And that means that I can do what with it?
You can eat it. Or, you could try to read it. It has some inscriptions on it. Look a little bit like hieroglyphics.
Okay. I'm down for that.
I was inspecting them the other day, and I found that there were hieroglyphics kind of to the tune of Frosty the Snowman. And this is what I read off of here. Again, kind of to the tune of Frosty. RF, the Mormon, was a folly, sappy troll with a podcast mic and a Shakespeare prose and 2 lies made out of Joe. RF, the Mormon, is a merry soul, they pray. He was made of tricks, but the XMO clicks are how Mormonism came to live one day. There must have been some seer stones in that old silk hat Bill found, for when they placed it on his face, he began to reel around. Oh, RF, the Mormon, was as live as he could be, but the XMos say he could bluff and pray just the same as you and me.
Yay! Yay! Bravo! I'm sorry, is there more?
Yeah, right here in this hat, gold plates. And you can eat them. What you're going to have to do, the kind of spirit and matter is kind of mixed together here, one and the same. So you're going to have to visualize them on your end.
I know. I'm going to have to get those jaws like Alien, just come right through
See,
the screen.
as you visualize them, perhaps you'll be able to read them too, find another song lyric. But Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Professor Murphy, and to yours.
And sorry about being late, but apparently I'm not the only one.
It's okay. It'll be reflected on your attendance record. See you later. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Wow, that was great. That was great. Who knew he was so multi-talented, Bill?
Yeah, and a bit of a seer.
Yes. Hey, I think Ganesh Cherian is on the line, and he may be where it's Christmas. Is it already Christmas there?
Yeah, so it's Christmas afternoon in New Zealand, and it is a beautiful sunny day because, of course, we're in the Southern Hemisphere, which means that it's summer. So, yeah.
Wonderful. You just had the longest day of the year.
Exactly. And now we're on our way down while you guys are on your way up.
Yeah, so it must be terribly hot there.
It's about 25 degrees Celsius here, so maybe...
Okay, can you translate that into normal?
Gosh, I don't know what that is.
Like what normal people talk about. 20 degrees. I don't know what that is. Does anybody? Anyway, it's hot,
you guys
right?
have all of these measurements and weights, gallons, and we have no idea what that means. It just doesn't make any sense in any part of the world except for America.
It's so great that you're here with your wonderful floral shirt on.
Oh yes, a little bit of Christmas, a bit of red and a bit of blue. Look, it's a great place to be, especially this time of year, and conscious of the hopefully some snow that you guys have, so you wake up to Christmas morning with some white. But and of course, Christmas works so much better in the Northern Hemisphere with Christmas lights and in low time. So we go to the beach instead. I've already been for a swim today in the ocean, and that's our Christmas is quite different. We'll throw a few shrimps on the barbie a little bit later and have a bit of a barbecue as well. So that's our fun for Christmas Day.
Wonderful. Was there anything else you were going to share with us?
So I thought I'd do a little bit of a song for you guys, just a short song. And a Christmas carol. Last night I went to midnight mass just down the road. We sang some carols and had a mass. It's one of my favorite things to do on Christmas. I think even being a Mormon, our version of Christmas is pretty lackluster, but lots of other faith communities do Christmas in incredible ways, and one of them is to gather at midnight and sing carols, and so I did that late last night, and one of the carols that I like the best, that's not in our kind of Mormon hymn book, but one that I think is very sweet. So I thought I'd sing it to you guys. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul found his word. A thrill of hope, the weary soul rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. All on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, now Christ was born. Oh, night, oh, holy night, oh, night, oh, night divine. Truly he taught us love one another. His law is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression will cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus waising, and all within us praise his holy name. Fall on your knees and hear the angel voice on night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night, oh, holy night, oh, night divine.
Wow. Wow. Ganesh, wonderful. Beautiful.
Lovely to be with you, Bill, and Radio FM Mormon, and hope you have a wonderful time. And all of those out there who are joining tonight, I hope that Christmas is just fabulous and inspiring and beautiful and also fun and connective. So love you all.
Thanks so much, Ganesh. Talk to you later. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Did he call me Radio Free Moron? Because I think he called me Radio Free Moron.
He looked a little nervous, so I'm going to cut him a little slack if he did.
Well, he was. That was great, wonderful. So many talents of people in our audience that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
Next on is Natasha.
Yeah. Go ahead. You got
Natasha Helfer with the tap dance number, I think. Natasha,
find her here. Here we go.
You have your tap shoes with you? By the way, while Natasha's making her entrance, I was goofing around with the screen, and I was trying to get off the screen, and I ended up making myself equally as big as Ganesh. And then I'm sending out a smoke signal to Bill saying, "Hey, can you take me off the screen?" Because now I'm afraid to touch any of those things because I don't really know what the icons mean, and I was afraid I'd make myself even bigger and him smaller. So eventually, I figured it out, though. That's the story that was going on behind the scenes there. So
when I tried to bring her up onto the screen, I'm not getting anything. Do you see her?
She had said something earlier about having difficulty with signal.
Yeah. So
I tell you what, maybe we can get her on later. Can we go to Kolby and Cami Radish now?
Yep. Let me find them.
My esteemed co-counsel.
Hey, Merry Christmas. How are you?
Merry Christmas, you two. What's going on?
We will be very fast. I wanted to share, when you asked us to be on again, RFM, I wanted to share one of my favorite Christmas Eve memories is I'm the oldest of four. And growing up, when I was 12 or 13 was the first time I read Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And Dickens wrote that genius tale in about 6 weeks. So we can remind Mormon apologists about that. But one of the things that people deal with when they leave the church, especially around
Kolby, hang on a second. You're overlooking the fact that the mediocrity of the Book of Mormon is much longer.
That's true. I am. And there's this phrase in Dickens' Christmas Carol where Marley, who was Scrooge's, miserly business partner, comes to visit. And he says, when he appears and he's shaking his ghastly chains, he says, "I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link and yard by yard. I girded it on of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it." And that phrase has kind of stuck with me because I know that as ex-Mormons, most of us kind of end up in the agnostic or atheistic space. And we deal with questions, especially around this time of year, that are, phrased like, if you don't believe in God or Christ, what gives you meaning to your life? And so I think I wanted to echo those words from Dickens that he puts in the voice of Marley, and just say the very simple answer goes hand in hand with this, which is you give your life meaning by what you build and what you do with the time that you have. Leaving the church had caused us to question so much, like who I even am deep down as a person. And that's just something that I thought about this Christmas, feeling a lot more confident and comfortable with our life and just loving every minute of it. And so I wanted to wish everyone out there a Merry Christmas and a Merry Christmas Eve, and just talk about the genius of A Christmas Carol.
Marley was dead to begin with. Cami, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
What's it like to be married to some rando?
Pretty great. It makes me smarter every day because we just talk all the time. But yes, it's awesome. There was this sign above the door that you would have to leave every single day in my house that said, "Remember who you are." And my parents would like yell it every time we left the door. Just, okay, be good. Remember who you are. And after we left, I kind of realized how many assumptions were built into the Mormon version of remember who you are. And because I was just a child of God who was supposed to be on God's path and, doing all the right stuff. And I've thought about that so many times now, raising my own kids. And I have stripped away all of the assumptions that I used to have about who I am supposed to be and who my kids are supposed to be and who anyone is really supposed to be. And it's been really liberating to go along with what Kolby said, to become who we want to be and to find this process of noticing your own patterns and finding out who you really are by just allowing yourself to be in your own brain for a minute. And I know that there are people out there who are going through really hard times in this space because it's really hard. And I feel lucky that Kolby and I were on the same page almost the entire time. And I know that is rare to find somebody who's going through this in the same space as you. So for all the people out there who are lonely or who are struggling, the process of finding out who you are can be done on your own. You just have to start to go inside yourself and ask yourself what you're feeling in any given moment. And it sounds so silly, but to become intentional with your thoughts and with your interactions has really changed who we are, and we've become who we want to be. And it gets better every day because we notice more things about ourselves, and it's really made us happy to be able to find that out. And being a human is pretty awesome. Like when you're not just told who you are, when you get to find out what thoughts come in naturally to your mind and the people that you want to be around, you find out who you like being around and who you don't like being around. And it's pretty awesome to have a system that works, not just a plan that you're supposed to follow. So yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Well put. Merry Christmas, Cami. Merry Christmas, Kolby. Thanks so much.
Thanks, RFM.
And Natasha does work now, RFM.
Yes, great.
Sweet. Let me grab
Natasha Helfer,
First Square.
RFM's personal sex therapist. Hello, how are you doing?
I am good. Merry Christmas Eve, everyone.
Are you in the back of a motor vehicle?
I am in the passenger seat of a motor vehicle, parked in a gas station, trying to get good reception just to be here with you all. So,
oh my gosh,
there you go.
It sounds like the scene of a murder movie. Not to concern you overly.
Yeah, probably not the most festive background, but I'm trying to the heretic movement or something like that.
I know you were having trouble with your signal earlier. You actually had to leave where you were and drive down the street to a gas station.
Yeah, I'm good now though.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
here.
thank you so
I'm
much.
so glad to be here. It's lovely to see all of you.
It's great to see you too.
All right, so I have, as per usual, a sexually explicit song to share with all of you this very festive season. So if you do have children in the vicinities, I am warning you ahead of time. That's my little warning. Because there's, I'm always about sexual liberation, and what better time than Christmas Eve?
I don't know. I've got a feeling you'd say that about any day of the year.
Well, right. So why not Christmas Eve? I was inspired by the English women who were singing on YouTube saying, "Let's try not to be a cunt for Christmas this year." So that was a great song. But I'm going to give you my version of Jingle Bells. You all ready? But I'm not a good singer, so you have to just put up with that. But because you've had some good singers, I've been listening.
We know how
All right.
the tune goes. We're just
All
wanting
right,
to
here
hear
we
the
go.
words. I know.
All right, I'm ready. Soaking in the snow on a one-horse pony play. To the bunny ranch we go, squirting all the way, ha ha ha. Balls with tight cock rings, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and swing this wet strip pole tonight. Oh, ring my bell, ring it all the way. Oh, what fun it is to fuck on a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, ring my bell, ring it all the way. Oh, what fun it is to fuck on a one-horse open sleigh. Yay! Merry Christmas, everybody.
Wow. Thank you so much. I hope that the lights are covering the blushing.
Are you just in love with my song?
Bill's
Are you
heated
just
up.
so impressed? Every now and then, like, I impress myself with my own, like, wittiness. But it's okay if I'm a little witty. That's okay.
I know the feeling. No, that was great and very, very nicely sung too. It's perfect.
Well, just a little levity to add to, I'm sure, the beautiful, spiritual, and wonderful messages everybody's getting. But a little laughter can go a long way.
Yeah, it can. And thank you so much for sharing it with us. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, all of you. Take care. Good night.
Bye-bye. Is Summer Rain with us? Did you want to say something about that, Bill? You look like a man who has something to say about that.
Only to say to every one of the folks who've gone and those yet to go, I just love each one of you being yourself. It's super cool. So
yes, it is.
All right, Summer Rain. Let's there you are. Summer, how are you?
Hey, you get to come on after Natasha. Do you have something you'd like to sing? I'll bet it's to the tune of Jingle Bells too. Are you even there?
Let me unmute. I'm probably going to request to not go after Natasha next year because that's hard to follow up. That is very difficult. But I love that. That was amazing. Thank you, Natasha. That was fantastic. Everybody so far has been amazing. And I just hope that I'm able to kind of bring something to this amazing event. I do want to say,
great. Summer, you're going to do great.
Thank
Natasha's
you.
busy being mugged right now.
But I just want to say really fast, thank you guys for doing this. And I'm really grateful to be part of it again this year. When I was thinking about what to do, I put together a story, and it's a quick story, but I was trying to think of the things that people are kind of mourning this Christmas season. And a lot of people, it's their faith and their belief and what next. A lot of people that listen to this amazing podcast. So I put together a story. I'm calling it The Christmas of Deconstruction. I just made that up because I didn't have a title. Okay, here we go. On a lonely Christmas Eve, Ben sat in his mountain cabin, far from the faith he had left behind and the holiday he no longer celebrated. A knock on the door startled him. Outside stood a young boy, Eli, begging for help. Hold on, sorry. The isolation had suited him. He had left his faith behind years ago, and with that had gone the rituals and celebrations that had once filled his Decembers. Christmas felt empty now, just another day. So when the knock happened, it startled him. He hadn't seen another person for miles. Opening the door, Ben found a young boy standing on the porch, shivering in the snow. The boy couldn't have been more than 8 years old. Please, the boy said, my mom's car slid off the road. She's hurt and I don't know what to do. Without thinking, Ben grabbed his coat, flashlight, and blanket. The boy led him through the snowstorm and inside, A woman was slumped over in the driver's seat. "I'm okay," she said weakly, though her voice trembled with pain. "The car's stuck and I can't walk in this storm." Ben helped her out of the car, wrapped her in a blanket, and carried her back to the cabin while the boy trailed behind. Once inside, Ben set her by the fire, and the boy sat beside her, his small hands gripping hers. "Thank you," the woman whispered. "I didn't know how we were going to make it." Ben shook his head. "It's nothing. I'm just glad I could help." As the storm raged outside, the three of them sat by the fire. The boy, whose name was Eli, found an old deck of cards in a drawer, and soon they were playing games and laughing despite the circumstances. Ben couldn't remember the last time he had felt so human, so connected. When the storm eased the next morning, Ben helped dig them out, and before they left, the woman turned to him and said, "You are an answer to a prayer." Ben opened his mouth to protest, to say he didn't believe in prayers or divine interventions anymore. But something stopped him, and he kept thinking about what she said. That night, after they were gone, Ben sat by the fire again. For the first time in years, he didn't feel empty. He thought about how he'd once believed that faith was the only path to meaning. But helping the mother and her son had reminded him that love, kindness, and connection could light up even the darkest night. Maybe that's what Christmas was really about. Not belief, but action. Not certainty, but the willingness to show up for others, even when you feel lost yourself. And for the first time in years, Ben found himself whispering, "Thank you." Not to anyone in particular, but to the stillness, the snow, and the quiet gift of the moment. So I wanted to tell that story. So the people out there right now that are kind of struggling with what's next, what do I believe, what do I not believe, and during this season, especially of Christmas, just to know that it's not just about belief. It's about action. It's about us thinking of each other and being there for each other and connection with each other. And RFM especially, thank you so much for putting this together so that we can connect with each other and hear all these wonderful stories and all these wonderful songs from each other in all different parts of the world. And so
Thank
that's
you
it.
so much. Summer, that was wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, guys. Have a great one.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, we're chugging right along now on this Christmas Express. I'm looking at the list. I think Charles is next to join us on our program. He's been waiting patiently almost since the show began. How are you, Charles?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, RFM? Can you hear me?
I'm doing fine. Thank you. I'm glad you could make it. Glad we got you on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to join all of you. I've been a huge fan of yours and Bill and this whole channel. You guys have been incredible support through my deconstruction. Thank you so much for inviting
Thank
me.
you. Are you okay with identifying yourself by Charles with your username for live chat? Because I think people might know you by a different name.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead and say it so I don't get it wrong.
Well, Black Priesthood, I think, is what I go on here. Let me see.
That's my recollection.
Yes.
You can understand my trepidation.
Black Priesthood on YouTube. No, it's all is well. It's all good. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, thanks again for inviting me. During this Christmas season, my mind went back to just the struggles of the earlier saints. I think about what Christmas must have felt like for them. And some of those experiences is ongoing in the church to this day, especially in Salt Lake and the Utah area. So I've been scouring the web looking for stories that would illustrate some of the challenges that those early African American converts experience, especially in Utah. Nothing came up. So I asked AI to write me a story. So it's super short, but it highlights some of the experiences that I've been through personally in the church in my active days, as well as what I think a lot of other members of color have gone through. So I'll read this real quick. So in the heart of Salt Lake City, where the snow-capped mountains stood as silent sentinels, a small community of African-American converts to Mormonism faced unique challenges during the Christmas season. The city, known for its deep-rooted Mormon tradition, was a place of both hope and hardship for these new members of the faith. Among them was Marcus, a young man who had recently moved to Salt Lake from Atlanta. He had embraced the teachings of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with fervor, finding solace in its messages of family, faith, and community. However, as Christmas approached, Marcus began to feel the weight of his decision. The first challenge was cultural. The predominantly white congregation, though welcoming, often struggled to understand the nuances of Marcus's background. The Christmas hymn sung with such joy by the congregation felt foreign to him. He missed the soulful gospel music of his childhood church, where the melodies seemed to lift his spirit to the heavens. Marcus also faced the challenge of acceptance. While the church members were kind, there was an unspoken barrier that Marcus felt keenly. He often found himself on the periphery of social gatherings, his presence acknowledged but not fully embraced. The Christmas parties filled with laughter and camaraderie were a stark reminder of his outsider status. Despite these challenges, Marcus found strength in his faith. He began to reach out to other African-American converts, forming a small support group. Together, they shared their experiences, their struggles, and their hopes. They organized their own Christmas celebration, blending their cultural traditions with the teachings of their new faith. The sound of gospel music filled Marcus's small apartment, and for the first time since his move, he felt a sense of belonging. That is very key to a lot of us converts who felt out of place, is longing for that sense of belonging. The group's effort did not go unnoticed. Slowly, the larger congregation began to take an interest in their celebrations. Members joined in, learning about the rich cultural heritage that Marcus and his friends brought to the church. The Christmas season became a time of mutual learning and growth, a testament to the power of faith and community. As the snow continued to fall, blanketing the city in serene white, Marcus stood at the window of his apartment watching the twinkling Christmas lights. He knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but he also knew that he was not alone. In the heart of Salt Lake City, amidst the challenges and the cold, he had found a new family bound together by faith and the spirit of Christmas. And so that last bit there is what I have found with this community. And thank you to you, RFM, to Bill, for putting this together. You have been incredible support to a lot of us. Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
Apparently, someone muted me when I wasn't looking. They may or may not have borne a resemblance to me. However, thank you so much, Charles. That was a wonderful story. I said there's a thank you. And, thanks for coming on the show and for leaving so quickly. Did something happen to Charles?
I hit the button before I wanted to, so I'm really sorry about that. Charles, I did not do that on purpose, so sorry about that. I've done that to somebody else. Somebody else in the beginning, I did that too. Backyard Professor, I think I accidentally cut off.
I can think of somebody you didn't do that to. So, Charles, let me just say this to you. Charles, thank you so much for sharing your Christmas Eve with us. That was a wonderful story and very moving. Thank you so much. Okay, so who else can we bring on next that you can dump prematurely? How about Lauren Mathias from Hidden True Crime? Is she here? She is. Lauren, how are you doing?
Am I here? Yes, I'm here. Hi, guys.
Lauren Mathias from Hidden True Crime Podcast.
Yeah. By the way, I'm up here, but I want to look here because I want to see your guys' faces. So I'm sorry. Hello.
It's absolutely fine. You look anywhere you want.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. How are you guys?
Oh, just fine. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful Christmas Eve. The magic's in the air. The sun's down. It's dark outside, even here in the Pacific time zone.
Yes. It is dark here at our family. We are waiting for Santa Claus. Last we checked, he's in Antarctica. So we have some time to, he's still in Antarctica. So we have some time to, bake some cookies still.
He doesn't spend a lot of time in Antarctica, does he? There's not a lot
I
of
don't
people
know.
there.
According to my son, he's still there hanging out. So
Okay.
I don't know what he's doing. If I was standing right now, I'd be hanging out, not there, but that's where he is. So yeah, I didn't really come with anything super prepared, but I would like to, I can talk. That's one thing I can do. And I'm grateful for this, I want to say, because I think that so often on Christmas Eve, we think of everyone being together with families or not having time. But I think there are so many of us that would love to gather with friends and be with each other. So I just want to say thank you for doing this. And when you asked if I wanted to come on, I absolutely. I love what you both do. And we need to do some more new segments in the new year in 2025. I hope we can do. But what are you doing?
If Lori Vallow will just stop hogging all the headlines.
Dude, like just when you think that case is going to end, she's like, you know what? Hold
I'll
on.
represent myself.
Pause. Hold my Diet Coke. I am going to represent myself now. And this trial is going to be televised in Arizona where it's nice and warm. So come one, come all. Yeah, no, I plan to be there in 2025. So the Vallow saga, unfortunately, continues in 2025. Excuse me, let me turn my phone volume off. Forgive me. Yeah, so we will be there. We'll be there. So we'll have to continue. I say the LDS members, unfortunately, continue to create true crime content. So I probably will be seeing you a lot, Radio Free Mormon, RFM in 2025 too, because we need your expertise in the law.
Well, thank you. I'd be happy to join and help any way I can. Wherever there's cops beating up a guy, I'll be there.
Yeah. Well, we've got so we have Vallow in February. We have James Craig coming up. He's the dentist in Colorado who is charged with murdering his beautiful wife and mother of many children. We have
He's the one who poisoned her.
Yes, poisoned. The
poison.
LDS family in Colorado. That's coming up. I plan to be at that trial. And we have the Shanna Gardner case out of Florida. She is the daughter of the MLM Stampin' Up founders, Sterling and Shelley Gardner. And Sterling and Shelley have hired the most expensive defense attorney in the country, Jose Baez. He was Harvey Weinstein's attorney, as well as Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony was found not guilty, and they have hired Jose Baez to make sure that their daughter gets away with her charges, of allegedly murdering her ex-husband over a custody battle. So those are just 3 LDS crimes that you and I will be talking about in 2025. So I hope you're
wonderful.
ready.
I look forward to it. It's a date.
It's a date. And I realize,
room.
thank you. And I realize that crime is not jolly and hopeful. It is my life. It is my world. It is what we do here in the Mathias home. So forgive me for bringing this into, into the Christmas Eve chat. But I do want to just say this. I was sitting here backstage, waiting to jump on and say hello to everyone. And again, so grateful. Is that the cultural hall?
Pay no attention to him.
No, is that
what did you say, cultural hall? I'm not in charge of the comments. He said something about that murder was right here by me here in Florida. It's practically a confession, damn it. Screenshot that.
Who is on the cultural hall? Who's running that? Is that
I don't think I'm
Richie?
allowed to tell you that.
Is
That's
that
privileged
Richie?
information.
Is that Richie T?
Yes, that's exactly who it is. It's Richie T. Stedman.
Yeah, you're
broke
thinking
the
of something
case.
different. There's 2 cultural halls. Just
Well, there are 2 cultural halls.
Yeah, there's one is a radio thing, and the other one is a content another place. He's got his own podcast on YouTube, and he's got
Lauren cracked
So
Bill.
it's not the original. So there's the original cultural hall podcast, and then there's
yeah. These are 2 different things. They're both entertaining, and you should
that really threw me. Is that Richie T? I mean, where
Absolutely.
So I have to ask, because did you know this is a little thing that I don't always actually like to admit, but Richie T and I started the Cultural Hall together.
Are you kidding me?
No. So hey, if that is Richie,
It's not Richie. It's not Richie.
It's not. Okay.
Because
Okay.
otherwise he just might be just goofing around.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I can tell it's not now, and that is not the logo that we. Yeah.
Oh,
we
now
created.
Cultural Hall says no
No.
exclamation point. Apparently, he's taking exception to being identified as Richie T.
Yeah. Now he's like, "How dare you?" Yeah. Okay. So, but that did throw me. Forgive me. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. Blast from the past. Exactly. That's when we actually reached out to John DeLynn and requested we buy the website that he owned, the Cultural Hall. All right. So moving on, because that's part of history I don't want to totally remember. But I will go back to what I was saying, that I am working on a Christmas card, and it's our internet, our online, our social media Christmas card. And I actually was just finishing writing it as I was backstage. And so I want to say this through our work. I've attended, I'll just say this, too many trials this year. It is hard to see and hear what we see every day. But I wrote, through our work, we have met many dear friends whose lives have been torn apart by the crimes of others. And we are continually reminded of the miraculous human spirit and the realization that love always transcends hate and destruction. Hope remains strong in our family, and we send our most sincere hope to all of you for the holidays and New Year's. Warmly, Lauren, John, and Banks Mathias. So
that is so nice.
Yes.
Thank you. And 3 little bloody fingerprints.
Yes. And then we all seal it with, and then you never know what's going to be on our envelope, right?
It's the personal touch. You don't get a lot of that nowadays.
Right.
Thank
and then
you so much for coming on, Lauren. Merry Christmas
welcome.
to you. I look forward to seeing you in the new year.
Merry Christmas. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. All right. And now, with no little trepidation, I bring on the one, the only, thank God, Rabbi Joe Charnas, Radio Free Mormon's personal rabbi. How are you doing there?
Well, let me walk out. I'm in a church.
What are you doing?
service.
Did I catch you while you were, I don't know, burglarizing someone's residence?
I'm in a church service.
You're burglarizing a church.
I'm in a church service, not burglarizing. I'm
I thought you
walking
were
away
Jewish.
because they're singing a song right now, a hymn. So can you hear me okay here?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you fine. I expect everybody else can.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I have to run back into the service, and I'm sorry.
That doesn't look like a Mormon church.
It's not. It's Methodist.
Are you stepping out on the Mormons, Rabbi Joe?
No, it starts with an M. That's close enough.
I think this counts as evidence.
I think so too.
Oh, look,
Just
it's giant-sized Bill.
Joseph Smith almost joined Methodism too, Joe. So you're both named Joe. You both coming close to Methodism. I think it's fair.
There's a method to my madness. Don't worry.
Yeah, I've seen
Hey,
it.
what is the deal with you rabbis getting together and putting Hanukkah after Christmas this year?
Don't blame me. I don't have any power.
That's rare, isn't it? Isn't that really? I don't ever remember seeing that before. I know
just
it's
one
the
day.
The
It's
lunar
a
and the
day. It's
solar and the
close
lining
enough.
up and the right.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the harmony. I'll probably say something on that when we part ways. But
I'm sorry, Bill left me like this. Let me see if I can get some kind of a proportionality. There you go. That's closer.
There we go.
Is
Bill still there? Wonderful.
I'm trying to make him the bigger of the group. I'm so sorry about that.
Well, and he's all skinny. It's like he's losing all this weight here with his frame size.
I'm
Go
vegan.
ahead.
What do you want? That's what happens when you go vegan.
That's
have
why you
been
look so
vegan.
unhealthy.
I know. That's true too.
All right, you need to eat some real food.
Amen. But hey, I wanted to say real quick first, for you, just for old time's sake, RFM.
Yes, we go way back.
It's not Rabbi Joe Charnas. It's Elder Joe Charnas, to go back to our first podcast together.
Yes, absolutely.
That was brilliant. And
Thank
it's
you
great
very
to
much.
see you, Bill, even though I can't see you right now, but it's great to see you again. And I hope things are well with you.
Thank you. Now, if you say Merry Christmas, does it cause you to spontaneously combust?
No, it actually gives me great joy. And you know what? My Christmas gift to both of you and to your whole community is this time I'm only going to speak for less than 3 minutes. We're not going to do a 3-hour hoedown together again.
Oh, that's the gift.
Yes, that's the gift.
It's not the gift that keeps on giving. It's the gift that stops at an appropriate time.
Yes, yes. All good things must come to an end. And I'm going to run in like 2 minutes. I really am grateful that I got to join you. And I just want to say to everybody, one, that as a rabbi, I believe that when we honor the sacred other, and when we honor the sacred of the other, that it brings about a different dynamic in life. And tragically, we often are so dismissive, so condemning, and so angry at the other that we often fail to have that light and that beauty that we could have if we did come from a better place, from a deeper place, from a richer place. And so, even though this evening isn't my sacred day, it's not. I believe that peace begins with honor and respect. And I'm here with you tonight and with all the communities that I'll be going to. I'm going to another service after this. I'm here tonight with you as my peace offering in deep respect and in deep honor for this sacred holiday. Even if it's not your holiday, it's not mine, but I do this out of respect and honor for the other, because it is a time of deep beauty and deep richness that has the potential, if we live up to the light of its wisdom, to bring healing to our hearts and to bring healing into our lives. But it begins with us. It really does. It's always easy to blame everybody else for what's wrong and justify our own bitterness and our mocking and our condemning and our anger. But that won't change our hearts, and it certainly won't change the world. And my hope on this time, which tonight is Christmas Eve and tomorrow evening is Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, my hope is that we live with the beauty and the light of our own deep selves, of our own souls, and of our own faith traditions, if we have one, and that we bring more light into the world, because we need it. We all need it, and we need each other. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Shalom, and until next time, I look forward to, I'll watch the rest of it, but I can't stay with you. I gotta run.
Arrivederci.
Yeah, and
Sayonara.
sayonara. That's where you did your
Wow.
mission, right?
Yes. So
Yes,
actually,
yeah,
you're
I
going to be
remember.
sitting there with all the other people in the church service, but you're going to be watching this show.
No, but hey, how do you like my, hold on, do you like my aura? See that?
I
See
like
my
everything
aura?
about you,
But how about my aura? See, now you see it?
especially your aura. Your aura is beautiful. It's
Thank you.
amazing.
So is yours. Hey,
You look a
Bill,
You know,
little
you're
like
talking about the sacred other. I think you're talking about me, right?
he
I'm
looks a
talking
little
about,
like
that's
the
right.
light goes above his head. He looked like the Christ child or something.
Well, my initials are JC.
Look at that.
That's about as close as I get. So I hope all is well. We haven't spoken really, Bill, since our last podcast together, but you look good, and I hope everything is well with you.
It is. Same back at you, Joe Charnas.
Yep.
Merry Christmas.
And take care, folks. Blessings to all.
Thank you so much, Rabbi.
You got it.
We need
Talk
all
to
you
you
got.
soon. Amen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That's Radio Free Mormon and Mormonism Live and Bill Reel, bringing light back into the world. That's like our slogan.
Light the world. Is that that's maybe what we should go with? Maybe we
We're
should
lighting
put out
it on fire, baby.
We should put out vending machines. And if people want to, buy things for anybody else, they can just put some money in.
Yeah, except in my vending machines, everything goes to me. And actually, in the churches, the way they account for it, it kind of does the same thing.
Yeah,
because they get to take credit for all of the charity.
What a good, it was a good plan, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. I'll just be more open and upfront about it. And it'll have all the things that I want in the machines. And it'll say this for RFM, this for RFM, this for RFM. And then people can go up and donate.
When it comes to money, that's where they're the most creative. I mean, they are really,
They're
cross
good at
their
it.
T's and dot their I's. Yes,
It's
they
their
are.
gift of the spirit. They finally found it. Let me see, Mark Asland. Is Mark Asland with us?
Yeah,
Mark
I'm here.
Asland. Long
Hey,
time no
RFM.
see.
I know. I'm honored that you even thought of me right about
I
now. I'm
know.
like, I got
Well,
the email. I'm
good.
like, wow, I'm still remembered in this world. This
You
is
are
awesome.
remembered and honored. It reminds me of an old joke. You know what Lewis said to Clark when they finally reached the Pacific Ocean?
What?
Long time no see.
yeah, no doubt about that one, right?
Yes. Well,
I'm
embrace us with
honored.
some wonderful Christmas thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tapping back into my seminary teacher roots, man. It's been a little while. No, I was actually thinking. My sister just had a baby a couple days ago, and I was thinking back to when we have a 5-year-old, and he's hopefully asleep now. He takes a long time to go to bed, man. It's been a
Especially
struggle
on
for 5
Christmas
years.
Eve.
I'm telling you, man, he's hyped up.
Yeah.
So yeah, hope my poor wife. I hope she's doing all right. But yeah, I was thinking about when we first had. His name is Remy, and there's a postpartum screening that my wife had me she didn't want to write, right? She was not feeling good. She didn't want to bubble anything in. So I was reading her the screening, and man, I was just going through, I forget all the questions that were asked before we left the hospital, but just to make sure that she was feeling good with postpartum. And we're reading through it, and I was like, how are you doing? And she's like, no, I'm not feeling this. I'm feeling good. Like, checking through from a mental health side, she was doing great. As I was taking it, I was absolutely like, I'm doing horrible. I need help. And the nurse came in, and I asked her, she's like, hey, how's everything going? She was like, oh, it's going good. I said, it's going good. And she said, any questions? I said, yeah, my wife's doing okay, but I'm struggling right now. And she kind of looked at me with this look of like shock and sadness. She's like, I'm so sorry. We don't have anything for you. And I remember just feeling so overwhelmed. I called my mother-in-law. I was like, I need help. I'm so scared. I don't know what to do. And he was born in April, like probably when Jesus was, right? And I just had this sense of loneliness. And I remember going to bed at night, and it would be dark, kind of like now with Christmas. And I just felt so overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed, and I felt literally so alone, even though I wasn't. And it was so hard for me. And one of the things that I was reading at that time, of all the things I was opening, expanding my mind to, was this book called The Book of Joy. It was a book between the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu and an author named Douglas Abrams, who kind of just, pieced all these things together. And I read it one night when I was just feeling down. I'm like, I have no joy. I want to find some joy. I should have been reading the scriptures because I was a seminary teacher, but that wasn't bringing me joy. So what do I do? And I stumbled across this piece of the book where Douglas Abrams had asked Desmond Tutu how he handled worry and fear and insomnia, really. Like if he was up late and he couldn't fall asleep, which is very much me and my kid who wouldn't fall asleep ever. And he said, and this was game-changing for me, he said he thought about all the people all around the world who were also awake at that time and also unable to sleep. And he said, thinking about others and remembering that he was not, that they were not alone, lessened his distress and his worries. And he talks about how he would then say a prayer for them. And right around that time, I came across a concept called Tonglen, which is a meditation where you breathe in the suffering of others and you breathe out into the world peace, or whatever would bring them peace and calmness and hope and whatever else. And in that process of trying to breathe in the suffering of others and tap into the loneliness that others felt, and how many parents were rocking their kid, or literally for me trying to crawl out of my room, hoping that my kid wouldn't hear me. And as soon as I moved, he would wake back up. Remembering that I wasn't the only one going through that really got me through those first really, really horrible couple years. And so just tossing out into the world, I'm thinking of, my grandpa who lost, his daughter, my aunt, my grandma within the last year, just the suffering of the world and trying to breathe out into it peace and love. And what you're doing here, RFM and Bill, is just so noble and good. And I feel the peace that you're bringing and the joy that you're bringing, and it's healing me too, man. So thank you for what you're doing, and Merry Christmas to everybody. I'm genuinely honored to be here.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I missed you. I'm glad to see you. Merry Christmas, Mark, to you and your wonderful
You too.
family.
Thank you for not forgetting me. That means so much to me. And Merry Christmas to everyone out there.
Well, you're welcome. Merry Christmas.
See ya.
Talk
Yeah,
to you later,
goodbye.
okay?
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. What a wonderful thought. Hey, I keep remembering and then forgetting that I need to readdress and revisit this idea that's going like a banner across the bottom of the screen that I announced at the top. I'll do it a lot quicker this time. If you have a need in your life, if you're a little bit short of cash at this time, please send me, and you want to, please send to my email a brief description, a dollar amount. Oh my gosh. And the other thing you got to send is your Venmo information. Well, it's a good thing I added that. Yeah, you have to have your Venmo information in it, as well as dollar amount, brief description, okay? Venmo information so that any money can be sent to you. Otherwise, how would it happen? All right, so if you have a need, there's no judgment, no shame. I happen to be friends with some very powerful individuals who at this time of year turn from a life of crime to helping other people out. So I'm just a middleman here. If you send it to me, I'm not going to read it, but it has to be done by the end of the show because I'm forwarding it after the lights go off and before I leave the studio tonight. Okay, so let's do that. And if you have a need, please do so. I had asked about whether anybody could contribute. I asked to contribute. That was a hard no. So if you have any of those ideas yourselves, which some of you may, nope, that's not going to happen. No contributions, only no deposits, only withdrawals tonight. So let's go to the next person that we have on the. Oh, it's John Lundwall, another doctor. Is the doctor in the house?
Well, the doctor's here.
How are you?
Merry Christmas, RFM. Merry Christmas, Bill, and happy holidays to all your viewers and guests and even critics, I suppose.
I have no critics. Have you gotten over your mild case of frostbite from being out all night on the solstice?
Yeah, I just returned from southern Utah. Actually, my team, we had something scheduled, but holiday plans broke up and I found myself alone in the desert. So I went down to Parawan Gap to do some time-lapse photography of something I'm not studying in our field work, but it was on my to-do list. In fact, I have a time-lapse. I don't know if you can throw that on the screen. Well, that's a still shot, but there's the gap. It's a natural feature. A river cut a gorge through the middle of it. Well, that's another.
Can we go back to that last one? I like that one. I find it strangely arousing, this picture.
That's the winter solstice sunset that sets right in the gap from the position where I'm at, where there was a Native American cairn, a big block of stone that was covered in petroglyphs. The person who did the study
Were any of them NHM, asking for a friend? The petroglyphs on the altar.
Yeah, there are no alphabets or writing systems in the rock art.
Oh,
it is its own version of information system. So actually cairn was blown up in the 90s by vandals. So there's a modern pile of rocks there. But as you go through the valley, there are a couple.
That's what I was thinking. Karen who was blown up by vandals. This sounds horrible. I'm surprised I didn't hear about this. Did it make the papers?
Well, no one's missing Karen that was blown up by vandals, but the cairn was blown up by vandals. And, just to put it out there again, if you encounter Native American rock art, please do not shoot at it or deface it. We're losing a lot of the data and information through vandalism. So in any case,
Stephen Smoot is out there hammering NHM into every freaking rock altar he can find.
They'll never find it here in the Americas, but if they did, that's what they need to produce. Sure enough, an NHM inscription in Yemen doesn't do anything for anyone. In any case, there is the winter solstice sunset in the gorge. I sent a time lapse, but we'll skip it. Hit the next slide. Yeah, this is the southern bluff of that gorge. And as I was packing out, that bright star is Venus. And it was just so bright, setting right against the mountain, that I had to stop and pull out my camera and take a shot. So
you actually said that bright star, didn't you?
Yes. that
Okay.
bright
I won't
star.
correct you.
It's a planet.
I know my place.
Okay, good. You're with Karen. In any case, it's well, I love going out into the southern Utah skies. It's thousands of stars. It's really remarkable. Next slide. Here's just the stars in the gap. There's actually a road that runs through it, and it's quite busy through the night. Otherwise, I get a straight shot of the stars in the gap, but a FedEx truck would hit me. So another night shot. Next one. Oh, this is where I stayed for winter solstice. Built a big bonfire. You can see in the lower right, there's still snow in my campground. And I have a bottle of Malbec Red, I believe, chilling in the snow. And in any case, I guess I'll just leave your audience with this thought from a Jewish writer that I like, Abraham Joshua Herschel, and appropriate that I follow Rabbi Joe. He wrote that knowledge is fostered by curiosity, but wisdom is fostered by awe, by wonder. That's the gateway that gets us outside of ourselves. And if we lose our sense of awe, then the world becomes a marketplace for us. And so this is one way that I confront my deconstruction out of my faith. Simply was by encountering awe in the world.
Can you start that, Bill? Go ahead, please. Well, you're doing the talk over.
Here's the time lapse of the winter solstice sun. So Herschel writes, forfeit your sense of awe, let your conceit diminish your ability to revere, and the world becomes a marketplace for you. The loss of awe is the avoidance of insight. A return to reverence is the first prerequisite for a revival of wisdom, for the discovery of the world as an allusion to God, end quote. Well, every time I go out under the stars, I encounter a sense of awe, and it's really quite remarkable. I love what I do here. So you can watch the winter solstice sunset connecting heaven and earth, as many sun priests did in these indigenous cultures year after year. Merry Christmas, guys, and happy holidays to all.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Merry Christmas to you too. And wow, those were incredible pictures. I
think I saw some drones there at the end. Backyard Professor.
I wasn't sure what that was. I almost jumped.
Use this footage. There may be a video to be made here. Whatever was going on.
It was like kind of sacred what he was talking about. So I didn't want to ask him if he'd seen any drones up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would have been inappropriate.
Yeah.
Oh, let's hey, Dewey Hickman. Is Dewey Hickman with us? Dewey Hickman, he was on the show not too long ago. Dewey Hickman from Don't Even Tell Me. It's something about the Holy Roast.
I don't have any Dewey Hickman below.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Dewey. Oh my gosh. I mean, I figured Kwaku would crap out on me, but Dewey.
I don't see Kwaku down there below either.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see what we've got here.
Lars here.
I'm sorry, what?
Lars looks like he's up next.
Okay, then let's just go ahead. Hang on a second. Yes, that would be the next in order. Lars Nielsen's present. I understand he's got a poem. Lars, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, RFM. Thank you, Bill, for having me. I very much appreciate it. Can you guys hear me well?
I can hear you great.
Oh, good. Well, I am going to keep to the 5 minutes. I do have a poem that I want to share with you. A little plain and precious part of our family Christmas tradition is that usually at Christmas dinner, we will discuss the art and literature and moving pictures that have changed us in some way over that past year. So tonight I want to read for you a poem that became my favorite for 2024 and that I'm going to be sharing with my family over dinner tomorrow. How does that sound?
Great. Thank you.
Good. All right.
Is it an ode to me?
Yes, a love song, actually. No, it's about a group of men and women who, in desiring to transcend the earthliness of their existence, instead find peace in living out the strife that they are given. The author of the poem speaks to the wind, sings to the zephyrs, and harps to the streams because he is struggling, for example, with how Mother Nature could let the raven rob the dove of her unfeathered young. But in all of his lamenting, he finds hope and even redemption in his determination to be a warrior poet, a Florentine hero, his life's ambition. He rejoices with the noble few who have overcome bondage, slavery, greed, and temptation, he says. And in the end, by joining his voice to the other Florentine heroes, he has learned how to sing the song of redeeming love. And so I think there are a number of themes that struck me pretty strongly this last Christmas season, and that's the reason why I want to share it with you.
Okay, please do. Thank you.
Right. Oh, we'll say to the winds that shall never cease blowing, and sing in the zephyrs that gently pass by. We'll harp to the streams that shall never cease flowing, nor stop at the sound of the stern brigand's cry. For the raven, though black, may croak for his living, yet he'll rob the poor dove of her unfeathered young. For where is the glory or science in giving? The glory of plunder is ever his song. Oh, let's hail in sweet music the charms of redemption, for earth has no motive or wish to stand still, nor has she the virtue or power of exemption, nor the stern moral courage to cleanse us from ill. For her latent disorders are breaking out yearly, and all her gay offspring are running astray. Then let us sing loudly and sound the harp clearly, to charm from the tempter who steals them away. Oh, the sword of that hero was never more charming, for the spell of the bandits is severed in twain. No more shall their grasp be so deadly alarming, for the victory stands fair on the hill and the plain. In the chinks of the rocks, in forest and mountain, the hilt of his sword was warm in his hand, and wherever he fought them, by fen or by fountain, he fought not for blood, but to favor the land. Oh, we'll sound a loud note to the banner that's waving, where the eagle sits perched o'er the stripes and the stars, for the motto is noble, 'tis the triumph of saving, that one against many may share in the wars. While the bandits' loud clamor and boasting of fighting may frighten their own lizard souls into rest, the heroes of Florence alone, they are harping, and leave them bemoaning the indignant bequest. Now we'll sing of our ransom from bondage and slavery, from prison, from exile, from the caverns of Bath, and prove that old avarice deals in bloodshed and knavery to enrich the vile dust that shall slumber in death. But we've seen the bright legions who are basking in glory and heard their loud harps triumphantly ring. We have tasted their pleasures and heard the grand story, and from their own voices have learned how to sing. So the man who wrote that poem
very nice.
I've really kind of touched me nicely this year, so I wanted to share it. So the man who wrote that poem in what later he called his Romance of the Heavens had a year or two before that written another romance, that time a romance of the Bible, which I would argue each and every one of us on this show tonight has read many times. If you're interested in learning more about this man, you can head over to my website, howthebookofmormoncametopass.com, where you can, among other things, watch the presentation that I gave at Sunstone 2024 and digest my response to Dan Vogel's review of my book. And with that, I'll say thank you again to our hosts and to all of you online for sharing this 100th part of our Christmas Eve together. And I say that in the name of Solomon Spaulding. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much, Lars.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you.
And to you and yours. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, that was very, very nice. I understand that the tardy Dewey Hickman is now with us. Is that true, Mr. Reel? Dewey, Cheatham, and how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. I was trying
All right, can you speak up at all?
any questions, and I was like, yes, no, let me in, no, yes.
Is there any way the mic can be a little closer to your mouth, Dewey?
Because the widow from Parowan wants to hear you. Oh my gosh, we saw his face. He looks so young. Do his parents know he's up this late? I think this is the best part of the show.
We could barely hear you. It's probably a little better, but I don't know that
It's
it's
like we're swinging now as we look down upon you. Is your phone in the chandelier?
Well, I've got a high quality setup here. I think it's been a whole $30 on my recording studio, so you're getting the good treatment.
Does it have a volume button? A recording studio? I tell you what. I think I can see your lifeline. You don't have long to go. Okay, Dewey from the Holy Roast. Wonderful young up-and-coming comedian. We've had him on the Tonight Show here in the past.
Yes,
joining
indeed.
us once again for the Christmas Eve party. Is that right, Dewey?
That's right.
Okay, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, and I will project, but everyone so far has been so sincere and heartfelt that I feel a little bad that now I'm going to throw that all off with a dramatic reading of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," except with different words that I made up. So here we go. "'Twas the night before Christmas, and across Temple Square, each Q15 member sat hunched in his chair, each contemplating the issues of a church on the brink. They're trying to solve problems, but not the ones that you'd think. War, hunger, and famine are not the things that they dreaded. The big issues in their minds were a bit more boneheaded. David A. Bednar sat fuming and pissed that everyone else believed gay Mormons exist. Quentin Cook sat scheming because he sure wouldn't mind it if he could re-hide their billions somewhere no one would find it. Dallin Oaks felt this year, with just 1 week to go, that excommunication numbers were disappointingly low. Pat Kieran was concerned that his thoughts would displease us, but he couldn't help wondering at what point he'd meet Jesus. D. Todd Christofferson, without feeling dirty, wants to introduce gay ceilings by the year 2030. Okay, that's just my own prediction, so there you have it. Jeffrey Holland wants growth, but the numbers don't match it. So he'll make more fake statistics on stakes and hope Bill doesn't catch it. Russ Nelson, dismayed, eyes fierce and brow wrinkly, still can't figure out why everyone else prefers Hinckley. When out on the lawn, there arose such a clatter, but these old men can't spring from their chairs unless forced by their bladder. When what to their wondering eyes did appear? The savior of the world, but he's wearing a sneer. I'm so disappointed, he said with a lurch. You've changed mine ordinances and ruined my church. I showed you the way written down in the scriptures, but you've gone astray. Shall I draw you some pictures? You build fine sanctuaries on the backs of the poor, and if someone objects, you show them the door. Children are so hungry, wondering what day they'll die on. While you're here hoarding money, you're not building up Zion. You're cafeteria Mormons. You mislead the youth. You claim that you're honest while hiding the truth. I will need an answer before I bid you good night. You all need to fix this. How will you make this right? Well, they looked at each other and thought for a minute, got smiles on their faces, and then they jumped right in it. We'll insist that we're flawless, that it's us they must follow. So when we make terrible policies, they've got no choice but to swallow. We'll change up the doctrine and say Jesus said it. That'll give them some fodder on the ex-Mormon Reddit. We'll exile the gays, plus their kids, for good measure. Then we'll walk it all back at the members' displeasure. We'll insist it's revelation, straight from the source, even if it's a pet peeve from the 90s, of course. We'll exaggerate experiences, we'll cherry-pick stories, and claim we've seen miracles in all their fake glories. Even if it's not true, we'll try to endeavor to look like we're totally the best prophets ever. Jesus took a deep breath. Then he groaned, quite resigned. And as he drifted away, he simply said, "Never mind." Then our beloved prophet called out in a voice frail and funny, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all, send us money." All right, there you go.
Bravo. Thank you so much. Wonderful. One of the listeners said that this is the most epic Night Before Christmas parody they've ever heard.
Oh, well, I don't know how many I've heard, but I'll take it.
Dewey, thank you so much. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Merry Christmas to everybody out there.
Bye-bye. Can we get Cultural Hall on the show? I apologize. He's jumping in line, but he says there's a good reason for it.
Hey, RFM.
You're laughing maniacally. You
I
know
can have
you
a good
just
reason.
cut in front
My
of
wife-
everybody, don't
My
you?
wife sent me a text and she's like, okay, in 15 minutes, we got to set up Christmas for the kiddos. So I'm like, well, okay, let me see if I can pull some strings and get on early. And I used my clout and here I am.
Yeah, you did. You clout shark, rando
know.
you. So you've done a new song for Christmas for this very party, haven't you? It's going to premiere.
Yes, everybody knows I love a good parody song. I've kind of taken a little break from making them, but for this special occasion, I put together a very special Christmas parody song that I wanted to show everybody here on your show.
Well, great. Just keep talking because I'm still looking for it, okay?
Okay.
Hang on a
Does
second
anybody,
here.
Does anybody want to see
hold it.
my dog on Christmas?
Oh, hang on a second. Everybody wants to see your dog.
It's my
Oh, hello,
Christmas
little
poodle.
doggy.
Hello, RFM.
What is the doggy's name?
Mickey. Like Mickey Mouse. Mm-hmm.
Right. You told me that. You live down there by Disney World, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do.
Sure do.
Everything's
Sure
Mickey
do.
this and Mickey that.
Yeah.
But this video is not Mickey Mouse.
No.
Can we play this one, Bill?
This is a Feliz
Give me
Navidad
a
parody.
second here, and I can do that.
And I'm so proud of myself. I got it on stage.
You slide.
I'm not able to play it though.
Here we go.
Yeah, Bill knows how. No, I can't hear this.
Yeah, it just needs sound.
This is a great video. Oh, there is sound.
Release Iron Rod. Release Iron Rod. Release Iron Rod, 'cause being Mormon is a little odd. Release Iron Rod. Release Iron Rod. Release Iron Rod, 'cause being Mormon is a little odd. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building and go frolic in this so dark. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building and go frolic in this so dark. Release Iron Rod. Release Iron Rod. Release Iron Rod, 'cause being Mormon is a little odd.
Wait, who made it?
Release Iron Rod.
I'm not feeling so bad anymore.
Release Iron Rod. Release Iron Rod, 'cause being Mormon is a little odd. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building. I spacious building, and we're frolic and mistletoe. Release iron rod. Release iron rod. Release iron rod, cause being Mormon is a little odd. Release iron rod. Release iron rod. Release iron rod, cause being Mormon is a little odd. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building, and we'll frolic and mistletoe. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building. I wanna live in your spacious building, and we'll frolic and mistletoe. Release iron rod. Release iron rod. Release iron rod, cause being Mormon is a little odd.
Merry
Colchmas,
Colchmas.
everybody.
Merry Colchmas. Was that you playing the drums?
No, I just stole that from. Oh, my light just went out. I just stole that RFM from the
They come in
internet
pairs.
and put it in. Yeah.
Hey, that was wonderful. That was the world premiere right here, folks. You
Thanks,
saw it here
man. Thank
first.
you. Thank you so much for inviting me. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Colchmas.
Merry Colchmas to you. Go make Christmas great for your kid.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Wow, that was something, wasn't it? Now we have a message from somebody who's not even in the country. I think they fled, and the feds are still looking for him. But he's in an undisclosed location. He sent us a video. Do you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Reel?
I don't
Let me
have a
find
clue.
this, okay? I think I can find this. There's this guy right here. Here we go. Can we hear what he has to say, Mr. Reel?
Yeah, give me a second here. And right here. Here we go. View slideshow.
Mo here. Merry Christmas Eve. Well, by the time you're watching this, it's already Christmas for me, but it'll still be Christmas Eve for you. Once again, proving unequivocally that the world is not flat. I hope you're having a wonderful Christmas season and that shrinkflation has not ruined the chocolates too much. I hope you're still getting plenty for your money, value-wise. I know this can be a difficult time of year for some of you, and if that's you, then you have my sympathy and my best wishes, and I hope that you can find some peace and joy at this time of year. If this time of year is generally great for you, then pass that along to someone. Go out, serve other people, be kind to other people, spread the Christmas cheer, do a nice thing for your neighbor or someone who's lonely. With that, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, that was a message. Nice message, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great of him to send us something along. Yeah. Good
Yes,
job.
I think
Nemo.
he's
Merry
looking for Archbishop or something.
Yeah, it's got a great accent, and he's already enjoying Christmas. He says he's already up opening presents, and the rest of us are still here, stuck in Christmas Eve, huh?
Actually, it's probably about 3:00 in the morning over there.
Santa works early. You got to get up early to catch him.
I work late.
Yeah.
All right, so I think Lyla's here. Lyla's been here since before the beginning of the show.
Hello.
Lyla Cooler, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? Great show so far.
Great. You look like Zelf on a shelf. Or
I
Elf
am
on a
still
shelf.
on the show. In the flesh. So I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. I was going to sing a song. This is a book. You can't read it because it's backwards, but it says a
It's
rare
actually not. It looks backward in your screen. In our screen, it
Oh.
looks fine.
Oh, good. It says a rare nativity. Anyway, this is a friend of mine wrote this book, and it's the 12 days of Christmas, but it's a twist on the 12 days of Christmas. Anyway, I'm going to skip to the 12th day and not sing all of the days of the Christmas because that would take too long. That way I can make this short and sweet. So let's go to the 12th day of Christmas. Hold on. Okay. So the story is there's a person who decided to send nasty, mean things to their enemy on Christmas Eve or the 12 days before Christmas. Okay, so we're going to start with the 12th day of Christmas. Okay, here we go. On the 12th day of Christmas, I gave my enemy 12 gnarly twigs, 11 dead leaves, a bird nest in 10 pieces, 9 rusty nails, 8 clumps of clay, 7 scraps of paper, 6 crumpled tissues, 5 shards of glass, 4 old potatoes, 3 crooked forks, 2 broken eggs, and a briar from a tanglewood tree. Okay, now we're not done yet. I'm going to skip to...
Well, so far it's been pretty darn good, I got to tell you.
Oh, thanks. The night that followed number 12, I slept till 3:30 and wallowed in my sallow state against my enemy. 3:30. I dreamed my enemy convulsed. I dreamed he gagged and swore. My dreams were dashed as I awoke to knocking at my door. I grumbled out of bed, and then I shuffled toward the sound. I opened up the door to find a gift upon the ground. The tag upon the lid contained a note addressed to me. I recognized the penmanship. It was my enemy.
Should I be taking this personally?
You fit. I gently pulled the knotted twine, and setting it aside, I lifted up the lid to the compendium inside. RFM, what's a compendium?
It's a collection of things.
Oh, thank you. 5 shards of glass composed a star, a singular display, and sheep were made of tissue. Bits of bird nest made the hay. Potato shepherds came to life with carvings and with clays, as paper angels shouted out their wonders and their gaze. I feel like I'm at school doing the reading class. 3 gnarly forks each bowed ahead, near rusted spiky pegs. The briar babe lay between the pale parental eggs. Of course, my phone is ringing. Hold on.
That's your soundtrack for the story.
It's my family, and they don't know that I'm doing this. Anyway, I can't make it be quiet.
Do you want to tell them, or shall I?
I have to just hit the line right here. There we go. Okay, sorry.
Did I mention this was live, folks?
3 kingly forks each bowed ahead near rusted spiky pegs. A briar baby lay between the pale parental eggs. Maybe you can see where this is going. I don't know.
So far, it's a mystery to me.
Okay. Well, so all the foolish things, all rotten things I'd sent my enemy were carefully converted in this rare nativity. He turned the other cheek and made my ugliness a gem, and by so doing pointed me to lovely Bethlehem. There's a cute little nativity.
Can you hold that up there a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Oh, so all the things got made into a nativity.
Yes. So the lesson to this is, of course, taken from Matthew 5:43 and 44. Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which do despitefully use you and persecute you. Now, I'm not much for scriptures anymore. I actually very rarely crack them open unless I'm trying to find something to discuss about, leaving Mormonism for some reason. But I do think that there are some gems in there, and that maybe there's things we can take to heart. And I think one of them is to forgive our enemies of their wrongs if we can, because I think it helps us feel better about ourselves. And that is all. That's all I wanted to leave with you. Thank you for letting me come on Radio Free Mormon and Bill Reel. I really appreciate this opportunity. And thank you for being such wonderful friends out there in XMO land. I love you all. Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you too, Lyla. Beautiful story. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. Marty Neelsen's up next from the Where Will You Go podcast. Marty, how are you doing?
Good. I'm so. Do you know what?
What?
When I do my shows, I get to clip them. I'm never live, so this is terrifying for me.
It's really scary, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's okay.
This is how I feel twice a week, 3
Right.
times a week. Oh my
That
gosh.
sounds terrible. Okay, so I was just going to tell a little story about growing up. So my parents have a dairy farm. They actually still run it. And Christmas morning, my dad would always get up and milk cows and feed the cows. And we would wait until he got done to open presents. But we didn't have to do the chores. And one Christmas, one of my brothers and I got up early, went out, milked the cows, fed the cows, and we were done, mostly done before he even woke up. And it was just a really fond memory that I have. And I wanted to contrast that with one of the worst Christmases, which was probably which this is first world problems, I guess. I feel like as my beliefs were collapsing like 5 years ago, it was probably one of the worst Christmases because I'm looking around, looking at the Christmas tree and looking at the nativity decorations. And I'm like, what do I even believe? I don't even know what I believe. And how does this tradition even fit in my life? And so I was lost for sure. And anyway, I was just thinking about the contrast between those and the relationships that feel like there's a big gap because you've just lost your religious belief, like with your family. And so you can feel like there's a really big gap there. And I feel like you can fill those with the memories that you still have in common with your family, and you can still maintain those relationships. And I just hope that those of you out there that are yearning for maintaining those relationships, that you're able to do that. And I feel like as time goes on, you figure out how to make Christmas special to you again, or you figure out how to make it your own. And it's really nice to be able to be around people who know what you're going through. And so it was really helpful for me to go and be on the ex-Mormon world. And it's also good to embrace my family again. I feel like I have good connection with my family still. And anyway, I hope for anyone out there that hopes for that they can have it. And I just sending all the warm wishes to everyone listening, and Merry Christmas. So
Thank
that's
you
it.
so much, Marty. I'm so glad that you could join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And
You're
Merry
welcome.
Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas to you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Yes, Marty Neelsen from the Where Will You Go podcast joined us tonight. And next we have, John DeLynn is scheduled to be here. I'm not seeing him down there. I'm seeing somebody enigmatically labeled as Santa John, but there's no guarantee that that's John DeLynn. Do we risk it? Apparently they're muted.
He's if he's there, his camera's not on and he's muted. So he may have had too much eggnog and
maybe it's Kwaku. Maybe I dissed him too prematurely. Maybe he's actually here. Santa John, who are you?
He's muted, so I don't think we're gonna get anything out of him. So we'll have to.
Do you not have power to unmute him?
No, not if someone muted themselves.
Santa John, can you unmute yourself?
I'm gonna
Apparently
take
Santa's in the John.
Yeah, it's not working.
Santa John is in the John. So we'll see if that works later. I want to bring on Renee Steelman, who's present from the She Became Visible podcast. She has been waiting so patiently. You look fantastic tonight. Renee, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. In fact, I've been waiting so long, one of my earbuds died. So I'm only using one earbud. Power went out.
I totally believe you.
Yeah.
You have been down there a long time. And when I say
I
down
have.
there, I mean where the people I can see are in their little
Exactly.
squares.
Exactly. And I want to start out by saying, Bill, today I am so grateful for you bringing me into this community, because this community, I mean, to follow Marty and Lyla and Summer and Martine and my sisters in the ex-Zion world is I'm so grateful for the relationships that I have, because you introduced me into this community. And I just want to let you know that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good job, Bill.
Yeah, it was a cool moment to bring some female voices on and try to sort of even out. I kind of came to my own awareness that I was just perpetuating patriarchy in there. And so I wanted some female voices, and I'm really grateful to have had you on board. So thank you, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to, I just put down a few thoughts because I wanted to make sure that I stayed under the time. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to share some thoughts that I have with you about this Christmas season. Is that all right?
Please.
Perfect. All right. So I understand the sorrow and grief that so many feel during this season. For all the lights and carols proclaiming December as the most wonderful time of year, it can also be a time of deep loneliness and pain. If you find yourself struggling under the weight of loss or longing, you are not alone. I want to share my story, not to dim the joy and wonder of this season for others, but to reach out to those who may be searching for connection and understanding during this difficult time. The night my son was born, December 5th, was one of the longest of my life. His heart rate had begun to dip, and what was meant to be a routine delivery turned into an emergency cesarean. When he came into the world struggling to breathe, the doctors discovered a hole in his diaphragm, a diagnosis that was given to him when I was still in my drug-induced coma. He needed emergency surgery, and before I could hold him, he was rushed to Oregon Health Science Hospital while I remained in a different hospital, tethered to my own recovery. At home, life didn't pause. My other 5 children, ages 9 to 2, needed stability, love, and the promise of Christmas magic. My husband, serving on the Stake High Council, balanced his demanding role with the chaos that had become our reality. I lay alone in the hospital that first night, pain from surgery mingling with the ache in my chest. Down the hall, carolers' voices floated through the away in a manger. The irony wasn't lost on me. I too had a newborn I couldn't cradle, a child fighting for his life. Can you still hear me?
Yes, there was just a
Okay,
brief
okay.
place where we didn't hear the beginning of that one line.
Okay, because my other earbud just died. The irony was lost on me. I too had a newborn I couldn't cradle, a child fighting for his life. No one from our ward or stake visited or offered to help with childcare, so I did what I had to. I endured. When I finally brought my baby boy home after a month in the NICU, life picked up at full speed. I was in the pews every Sunday with 6 children in tow, serving in the Young Women's Program while my husband continued his callings and demanding career. December became a whirlwind of birthdays, my eldest daughter on the 3rd, my miracle son on the 5th, and holiday preparations. His severe cerebral palsy, cortical blindness, and wheelchair dependency were challenges we accepted. We folded him into every family vacation, wedding, and celebration, determined to give him a life as full as his siblings. 6 years ago, retirement brought us to Arizona. For the first time, we hired a caregiver who gave us a glimpse of what empty nest life might have been. But caregiving never truly paused, and medical challenges loomed, particularly after a botched surgery during COVID. On Christmas morning 2 years ago, my son took his last breath in my arms. The fire department, 911 services, and neighbors showed kindness, but the church was silent. I had resigned my membership earlier that year, a decision that rendered me invisible in the eyes of leadership. The bishop called my husband, but not me. Despite the absence of institutional support, our family pressed forward, honoring our son's memory. His life was woven into ours, and though his absence left a void, the love we shared remains unshaken. I end this with empathy and understanding. Losing a community because of a faith crisis is so fundamentally contrary to any belief in a loving Father in heaven or the idea of a communal family. To lose a loved one and at the same time, the belief in an eternal family, a system centered on a benevolent and sacrificial atonement, leaves a void that is almost impossible to fill. It creates space for a profound sense of delusionment, especially during a month dedicated to peace on earth and goodwill to men. If you feel the weight of loss, loneliness, or isolation this season, you just know that you are seen. My story is not unique, but perhaps in sharing it, I can extend a hand to those who feel adrift. But remember, you are not alone. And as I said, this community, and I really would encourage all of you to reach out to the ex-Mormon community if you have deconstructed your religion and you are suffering with the idea that maybe the idea of an eternal family is not truth and you feel even more alone. I want you to know that you can find peace in this ex-Mormon community, thanks to people like Bill and RFM.
Thank you so much, Renee. That
You're
was
so
absolutely
welcome.
gorgeous. You're wonderful.
And I just wanted to share, this is a book that I wrote in 2016, Heaven Sent and Bent. That's my guy right there. And it's just a collection of essays that I wrote about how much I really enjoyed being a mother and the experiences that I had mothering a child that was wheelchair dependent, fed through a G-tube, cortically blind, and the laughter, the things that would happen with my other children and the joy that he brought to his siblings. It was just a fun collection to make. And so every time there is some kind of sorrow, just remember that you can find joy.
Where can people get your book?
You can get it on Amazon. It's still available.
And once again, it's called what?
It's called Heaven Sent and Bent.
By Renee Steelman.
Becoming a Mother of Strength.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, you guys. Have a Merry Christmas to all of you. This has just been the best show, and I can't wait to hear Anthony's words and all of the other guests that you have.
Well, Anthony's got a tough act to follow because he's coming up after you.
Uh-oh.
Merry Christmas, Renee. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
I see you've got a fire going in the fireplace.
On the television, yes. Yes. And I've got my green accent light there.
Yes.
Thanks to Google. So
it's like where Green Lantern lives.
That's right. That's right. Well, thanks for inviting me to participate this year. I had a few, I don't want to take too much time, but I had a few thoughts that I wanted to share. During my life, there are different times that Christmas has been extraordinarily painful and difficult for me and lonely, or a sense of loneliness. And there's been other times in my life where it's been an experience where it's been filled with gratitude and meaning and connection and things like that. And my sense is that at different times in my life, the things that were meaningful that gave me a sense of connection included witnessing and participating in acts of moral goodness, serving others, Secret Santa kinds of things. When I was young and my parents were divorced, receiving those kinds of things from people in our ward and in our community. There are other times of Christmas that have been significant where there's been a sense of awe, of art, of going on a horse and carriage ride in downtown Salt Lake City when they used to do Christmas lights around Temple Square, or singing carols, or participating in like a gingerbread house competition or something like that. There have been times of Christmas that have been very meaningful to me that connect with nature, in walking around my community or in the mountains and seeing the stars and contemplating the things that are so much larger than us. There are times in my experience growing up that Christmas was really meaningful because of the music, not only listening to the music, but participating in the music in choirs and things like that. Christmas has been a time where I've often contemplated life and death, grief, like Martine referred to at the beginning, the first and second and subsequent Christmases after the loss of a loved one, or Christmases that are new when you have a newborn or you have a toddler or a child experiencing their first really excitement of opening gifts and things like that. And Christmas at different times has also offered me a sense of epiphany or of a sense of increased understanding in reflection of the past, the present, and the future. My experience in the past before my faith crisis was that largely the attribution of meaning to these things was dictated to me by teachers, by lesson manuals, by religious leaders and things like that. And there was a period of time where I felt very unsettled because I really valued these kinds of things, but I was finding myself in a circumstance where it was my opportunity to claim ownership of these things and attribute the meaning that I wanted to attribute to those things. And that can be unsettling, but over time, in my experience, it can be a beautiful thing as well. And so for those who are alone this evening and tomorrow, know that we're with you, like maybe not in person, but we've walked some of those steps too. And we hold you in our hearts. And we hope that as you increase your capacity to claim ownership of these kinds of things, that you can attribute the meaning that you want to attribute to those things. And I want to end with a poem. Not that I wrote, I asked ChatGTP to help me. I wanted to take the dark night of the soul and add more meaning to it for the message that I wanted to share with you. And the name of the poem is The Bright Night of the Soul. And it goes, beneath the silent starry glow, a path once certain, now unknown. The faith of youth, a fractured whole, yet love still calls, a bright night of the soul. The carols ring with echoes sweet of peace and joy the heart may greet. But here a space, a tender ache for dreams once held and lives remade. A babe in manger, humble low, speaks not of power, but of those who seek the lost, the wondering kind, who serve with hands and hearts aligned. In homes aglow with candlelight, a weary soul may find respite. Through bonds of friendship, warm and true, a greater purpose comes into view. For those alone on Christmas Eve, a meal, a smile, a gift received, transforms the dark to something bright, a spark, a star, a guiding light. So let us exiles now embrace this season's call to love and grace. Through human hands, through service whole, we find anew the bright night of the soul.
That's nice. Are you saying the computer wrote that?
AI wrote it.
I think we're officially in trouble, pal.
With the right
We're in
prompt.
trouble.
Yes. Thank you for having me, and Merry Christmas to everyone. And I'm holding you in my heart this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel like I'm kind of on the other half of your TV set behind you. I can warm my hands on the fire over there. See that?
There you go.
Yeah.
On this side. Yes.
Yes, it's really wonderful in here.
Thank
It's
you.
a nice Christmas tree. It's beautiful, snowing outside.
Yes.
Hey, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thank you. Same.
Bye-bye. And now I think we might have a brief musical segment. I know we've had a few of those, but with Weird Alma. Weird Alma, how are you doing?
All right. Good. Really good. Bill F and Reel and RFF and M.
How good is really good, Weird Alma?
Yeah. Excellent. I don't know.
Does it have anything to do with ingesting some magic beans?
Not yet. No, maybe later today.
Okay.
I'm an hour behind you, so it's still a little too early. Yeah.
Is that your guitar, or are you just happy to see me?
Both.
Are you going to play something for us?
I am. Yes. A very special Christmas song. I guess it might need a little setup. I don't know who all remembers the Dallin H. Oaks Christmas card thing from 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe longer. I don't remember anymore. Where he gave a talk or something, basically complaining about all the Christmas cards that he got sent because so many of them didn't include something about Jesus or whatever. Yeah.
See, I complain about all the Christmas cards that I get that don't mention me.
Right.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm gonna put on my best Dallin accent here. We'll see how that goes. But anyway. Counting up all my Christmas cards, and the number isn't small. When you're Apostle Dallin H. Oaks, that just goes along with the call. Counting up all my Christmas cards, but before I can say I'm done, I have to carefully analyze the true worth of everyone. I will get a sanctimonious feeling when I read, if happy holidays is written, someone's asking to be smitten. Counting up all my Christmas cards, they had better not include season's greetings or, heaven forbid, baby Jesus in the nude. When I read these cards that have no Christian sentiment, I'll throw them out upon first sight like a gay couple who wants to stay the night. Counting up all my Christmas cards, aren't you glad you mailed one here? So I could complain about what you sent. How is that for Christmas cheer?
Yeah, baby. That was fantastic. Great job, Weird Alma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that was a great song. You're an immense talent. Thank you for sharing it with us on this Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it looks like a fun show. I'm gonna have to watch the whole thing later. I've been out, having dinner with my family and stuff, but happy to come in here for a few and say hi and share some music.
Thank you. It's the best gift to give and to receive this time of year. Thank you again. Merry Christmas.
You bet. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Are we going to see if Santa John has passed out in the can? Santa John, are you there? Can you hear me? Speak to me, pal. Okay, well, let's go to Denver Snuffer's here.
Yeah.
Radio Free Mormon's personal prophet. How are you doing? Denver Snuffer, prophet, seer, and agitator.
I really like your garb. I would have put a tie on if I'd known.
Well, that's okay. Most people are underdressed when compared with me this evening.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so when I was a kid, Christmas was absolutely the number one day of the year, bar none. It was the best. But as I've gotten older, this season is really more of a time of melancholy. I mean, long nights, short days, and I find myself in this midwinter season, sort of in the doldrums and a bit with poignant memories about things, friends I've lost, people I've left behind, longings for a simpler, more innocent time. There was a song that got released in December of 1965.
I'm sorry, Denver, did you hear that noise?
I didn't hear a noise. Did you?
I did. It sounded like there's a shambling monstrosity just outside your door. Bill, did you hear that?
Well, there's wind.
Yeah, I heard it. It had to have been one of you two because you're the only two on the screen with microphones.
Well, there's no shambling monstrosity outside my door.
Okay.
Okay,
Maybe.
Go ahead. Denver, wait for the time.
It's probably your
Could
stomach.
be a visitation.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear this story, though, this song.
Okay, so there was a song that got released in December of 1965. So technically, this is a Christmas song that really captures my sort of midwinter melancholy. The lyrics to the song were written by John Lennon, and I think there was an incident that happened before this that is part of the reason why Lennon was able to compose these lyrics. Lennon had released a book called In His Own Right, WRITE, and a journalist in England, British journalist Kenneth Alsop, told Lennon that he really ought, in his music, he really ought to write more autobiographical stuff. And in 1961, Stu Sutcliffe quit the Beatles. That was why Paul McCartney had to become the bass player, because Sutcliffe had left the band. Then a year later, in '62, Sutcliffe died of a brain hemorrhage, and that was quite a shock to all of the remaining members of the group. And after the comment about writing something autobiographical, Lennon wrote these lyrics, and McCartney helped put it to tune. There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and remain. All these places had their moments with lovers and friends I still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there's no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. I think Lennon could only compose some of those lyrics because of the death of Sutcliffe and the life experience he had before. It's a very sober and haunting tune. And when I first heard it, I was a little kid at the time. I loved the song, and to this day, I think it is one of the Beatles' best compositions and most meaningful tunes. And it captures where I'm at in the midwinter season. We find Christmas located.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go home and play that later tonight.
Great song.
It's a
Good to
beautiful
see you.
song. Thank you, Denver. Thank you very much for joining the show. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye. Well, I think Santa John has had a little bit too much to drink this evening, folks. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring on the last two people. By the way, let's just bring on Randall Bell. He's ELF. He's an elf. And our special guest tonight, Jerry Juwel. Jerry, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
I'm so excited to see you. I put a few slides together in your honor. And hopefully I'll be able to find them. Oh, did we take the whole slideshow down, Bill? He'll get to it. Jerry, I was doing some research on you. He's going to find it again. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I know that you were a huge hit in Facts of Life back in the early 1980s.
Yeah.
44 years ago tonight, December 24th, 1980. Do you know what was going on?
Yeah, that was my first episode of Facts of Life, Cousin Jerry.
Yes.
On Christmas Eve, 1980. And it got the highest Nielsen rating that the show had at that point. And NBC was shocked, and they invited me back as a reoccurring character.
Well, that was so wonderful. I'll tell you, I was on my mission in Japan, so I missed it. But there's a couple more slides, and now I think, Bill, you have absolute control over the slides. If you want to just click to the next one.
And I just want to say, as a young boy who wouldn't tell his friends what he was watching because the Facts of Life seemed like it was a girl show, I couldn't get home from school fast enough, Jerry, to watch the Facts of Life. I can still sing the theme song today, so super cool.
Thank you.
This was the slide. I was researching. I was finding some slides. There's only like 4, but Jerry Juwel made her first appearance on the Facts of Life as Blair's cousin Jerry. Tough to remember that character name, I'm sure. On December 24th, 1980. 44 years ago tonight. Next slide. And not only Facts of Life, but much more recently, Jerry stars in Deadwood, the series, as well as the movie.
And I played Juwel.
And you play Juwel. I know. What is this? You only play people whose names are the same as you?
I know. And when I let Hollywood know what my middle name is, I'll work again.
Hey, Randall Bell. By the way, I'm going to give you a second here, okay? Because you're very important to this. You're more than just scenery. All right.
Oh yeah.
Can we get the last slide? I think there's one more. Is there one more slide, Bill? There isn't. Okay. So this is now Randall Bell, Mr. Elf. How are you involved in this? Because you're very important. You're the one who introduced me to Jerry. You've known her for a long time.
Well, I knew her. She didn't know me. We went to high school together, and I knew her sister Gloria. She was in my class. Jerry was a couple years older, and I certainly knew who Jerry was. She always attracted a crowd. She was kind of a rock star in high school, and then it came as no surprise. She went to Hollywood Boulevard and started performing in the comedy clubs, which is insane. By the way, her sister Gloria was Jerry's beautiful in her own right, but Gloria was just a drop dead supermodel, and she loved Jerry. She sadly passed away a bit ago, but getting back to Jerry, she went to Hollywood, and that is not a place for the timid. I mean, if they don't like you, it's a rough crowd. It's like a bunch of XMos on steroids. If they don't like you, but she nailed it. Norman Lear went to a show, discovered her, and what do you know? She's now spoken at the White House 3 times. She's the most famous visibly disabled person and first person ever to star in TV. So Troy High School loves and admires Jerry Juwel, and nice to see you, Jerry. I love you.
I love you too, Randy.
Well, Randy was nice enough to introduce me to you 2 years ago in March of 2022. So over 2 years ago. But I remember I talked to you first on the phone. Randy was driving the car. He put it on his, he called from his car and started talking to you. And okay, hang on a second. Jerry, I just got to tell you something. I almost used my first name. This joke makes no sense at all unless you know my first name. And we don't speak my first name on this show because I'm totally incognito and anonymous. But it's a really funny story. And if I could say my first name, you'd all get a big laugh out of it. So with that, I said I was a different movie star. Let's just put it that way. I said I was a different movie or TV star, and I was pretending to be somebody that I wasn't. And Jerry just played right along. Don't remember the name. Try not to remember the name. So she's playing along with it. And then I finally got introduced to her in person, and she laughed and she told me that she knew I wasn't this movie star because this movie star, that I'm much more nice than this movie star is what she said. And that was very nice of you. But then I realized I was trying to pull the wool over somebody who knows everybody in Hollywood.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Hanging out with Jerry is never boring. One day we were having lunch, and I happened to mention a little trivia in my family. My uncle Jerry was a director of Gilligan's Island, and I told Jerry what a crush I had on Mary Ann. And a few weeks later, she calls me up. And she says, "Hey, Randy, I'm invited to Dawn Wells, who played Mary Ann's. I'm invited to her birthday party. You want to come and be my date?" I said, "Oh yeah, for sure." So we walked. Last time I walked down a red carpet. The paparazzi are taking pictures of Jerry, and they're like looking at me like we have no clue, nor do we care who that guy is. But then I went in and met Mary Ann. I confessed my love, and she remembered my uncle. It was just a magical night. And if I can just indulge one more story. And then the other day, I think Jerry was too cheap to get an Uber, so she asked me to give a ride to her to Norman Lear's house. We walk in the door, and there's Norman, 100 years old, and he shares the same birthday.
101.
Hoffman. We hung out with him for 2 or 3 hours. So hanging out with Jerry is always a riot.
Yeah, that was an amazing afternoon. And not only Norman was there that afternoon, but Dustin Hoffman was there that afternoon. So we had a whole 2 hours with Dustin Hoffman and Norman Lear. And I had met Dustin several times in the past, but I never really spoke to him. And before he left, I said to him, Dustin, I just want you to know that I love your work. I love the films you've done. I think you're great, but I am envious of one thing. And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "You walk better in heels than I do." And he laughed. It was I mean, I could never walk in heels with cerebral palsy. I have enough problems.
But of course, I mean, sometimes I forget that there are people out there younger than I who may not know about Tootsie, which was a hugely famous role for Dustin
yeah,
Hoffman, in which he,
right.
yes, dressed as a woman, part of the plot. Hey, Randy, Mr. Elf, I want to ask
Yeah.
you, and then I want to ask Jerry, what you'd like to say to the audience, to the world on this Christmas Eve.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, Bill, you look great. I got the memo on the red T-shirt. RFM, you put the F in RFM. Always fun hanging out with you too, and you look spectacular. And I just pause and say, a few weeks ago I had open heart surgery unexpectedly, and that sobers you up. I had 3 cardiologists tell me I had a day or two and I'd be checked out from this life. So that makes you sit up straight. And I came away with profound lessons in centered on gratitude, empathy for those who are terminally ill and struggling with stuff, because I was in the hospital nearly a month, and also a message to just slow down. And so I'm healing and getting back. But it's a pleasure to be asked to speak briefly as the token Christian, I think, of a lot of this group. But I have 2 quotes I want to share real quick.
We had Denver Snuffer on. I was just saying, we had Denver Snuffer on, so you're not the only Christian here.
Oh, okay. Well, good. It's good to have some company, and Jerry as well. But Bill Maher said, "Jesus as a philosopher is wonderful. There is no greater role model, in my view, than Jesus Christ. It's a shame that most of the people who follow him and call themselves Christian act nothing like him." And I think that for those of us who hung on to a belief of sorts in the divine after the dumpster fire of Mormonism, need to remind ourselves that not to carry that sanctimonious notions with us. And then the other quote I wanted to share was Professor Dr. Robert Cole out of Harvard. He said, "All writings on ethics over the past 2,000 years are simply footnotes to the Sermon on the Mount." So I loved Lyla's message. And by the way, Lyla, I'm glad I'm on your good side after reading that enemy thing. Crack it open, whether you believe in Jesus metaphorically or literally, that's a personal choice, or not at all. That's a personal thing. But there is great wisdom in there, particularly in ethics. We left a system that was unethical, in my view, and I think that as being post-Mo, we carry kind of a torch of what better ethics should look like. So that's about it with my message, other than to say Merry Christmas and I love you all, and I'm happy to answer questions about what Jerry's really like as we go along.
Okay, good. Just let us know if she gets everything straight as she talks about this, okay?
Yeah.
Jerry, what do you want to share with the audience on this beautiful Christmas Eve?
Well, this has been a wonderful experience for me, listening to all these stories, and I really didn't prepare anything, but when I was listening to what other people were saying, I thought, what could I contribute to this? And I was born on September 13th, 1956. And I was pronounced dead. I wasn't expected to live. And a miracle, I lived. And I only weighed 2 pounds at the time, and this was in the 50s. So that was a miracle also. And they put me in an isolette for 3 months. I did not come home from the hospital until a week before Christmas. And in that time, at that time, they didn't believe that preemies should be touched. So when anybody handled me, they had to wear a mask and gloves and everything. And here I was in this glass box, for 3 months. And I thought, what kept me alive? I mean, I had head injury from the birth, and I wasn't diagnosed with cerebral palsy yet. But how could a baby that tiny, and then I acquired pneumonia also on top of it. And I finally came to realize that angels and God and Jesus and relatives who were alive on the other side, they were talking to me for 3 months, saying, hey, you got a great place. You got your own little place here with a window on every wall. You got people coming in, Windexing them at night. You don't even have to wash your own windows. And I grew up in a family with a lot of love. Never held me back. Never looked at me as someone who couldn't do, who was disabled. My mom used to tell me there's a whole world out there, go for it. And I went for my dreams. And yes, I've had a very hard life in some ways, but mostly it comes from how I am perceived by others. And the loneliness comes from people not knowing how to relate to me, how to talk to me, how to be a friend. But today, I'm at 68 years old, I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of love in this world, and you can't close up your heart because you've been hurt. I've been hurt deeply. But if you close up your heart, you shrivel up. And here I am at 68, still hanging in there, still smiling, still have a sense of humor. And I have a wonderful new book out called Jerry's Jewels and Gems, which was just published by Randall Bell. My dear friend did that for me. And Norman Lear wrote the foreword for it at 101. That was his last gift to me. And don't ever give up. Go after your dreams and spiritually be alive. We all have a spiritual pilot light in our souls and our hearts. Don't ever let that pilot light go out. And Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Wonderful. Jewels and Gems indeed. Bill found the copy of your book. He just had it up there on the screen. Let's go ahead and show that to everybody. Is that already out, Jerry? Is the book already out? It looks like it is.
You can get the book on Amazon. You can go to my website, jerryjewel.com. It'll show you how to get the book. It's a wonderful book. I'm proud of this book.
Well, I'm sure it's wonderful. My gosh, you just absolutely captivated me and the entire audience since you came on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your coming on New Year's Eve of all eves. And Randall Bell, Mr. Elf, thank you too for being here.
Hey, pleasure. Absolutely pleasure. And Jerry, I'll see you in the next few days. Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jerry. Thank you so much. See ya, Randy. He's out of here. Well, Santa seems to be out of the John. Hey, you get to follow Jerry Jewel.
What a treat. What an honor. Hi, RFM. Merry Christmas Eve to everyone.
Hi. I know you probably got all sorts of things going on, and you've been in and you've been out. It's just the several times, like 10, that we went to your square. You weren't there.
Oh, well.
It was only 3.
I love you guys. I'm honored to be able to make it. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to make it.
Well, you are the final guest on the show.
Well, I have a story that I want to read.
Did you write it?
No.
Frog and Toad. I love these guys.
This
They have
is
a
from-
musical comedy. I
this
laughed
is
all the way
from
through.
The Frog and Toad Treasury.
Yeah.
And what I want all the viewers and listeners to guess is between RFM and Bill Reel, who is Frog and who is Toad, based on this story I'm about to read. Is that all right?
Okay.
Or
think
maybe
Bill might be
you're,
following
you're a frog or a toad in your own relationship. Should I go?
Yes. That seems a little bit frightening.
This story is called Christmas Eve. Are y'all ready?
I think so.
Okay. On Christmas Eve, Toad cooked a big dinner.
That's Bill.
He decorated the tree.
Totally Bill.
Frog is late, said Toad. Toad looked at his clock. He remembered it was broken. The hands of the clock did not move. Toad opened the front door. He looked out into the night. Frog was not there. I am worried, said Toad. Okay, here's the picture.
It's snowing.
What if something terrible has happened, said Toad. What if Frog has fallen into a deep hole and cannot get out? I will never see him again. And there's a picture of Frog in a hole. Toad opened the door once more. Frog was not on the path. What if Frog is lost in the woods, said Toad. What if he is cold and wet and hungry? And that's Frog. That's
how I
Frog.
know that's Bill?
That's Frog lost in the woods.
Yeah, because Toad actually cares about other people. That's why it's Bill.
What if Frog is being chased by a big animal with many sharp teeth? What if he is being eaten up, cried Toad. My friend and I will never have another Christmas together. And that's Frog being chased by an animal. Toad found some rope in the cellar. I will pull Frog out of the hole with this, said Toad. Toad found a lantern in the attic. Frog will see this light. I will show him the way out of the woods, said Toad. So that's Frog getting rope out of the garage. And that's Toad. Toad getting rope out of the garage and Toad getting a light or a lamp to find Frog. Toad found a frying pan in the kitchen.
I hope this has a happy ending.
We'll see.
The final story on Christmas Eve. Don't bring us down.
We'll see. I will hit that big animal with this, said Toad. All of his teeth will fall out. Frog, do not worry, cried Toad. I am coming to help you. And that's Toad getting a big frying pan to beat up the bad guy. Toad ran out of his house. That's Toad running out of his house with the rope and the lantern and the frying pan. He's going to get the bad guys. And there was Frog. There was Frog. Frog was there all along. Hello, Toad, he said. I am very sorry to be late. I was wrapping your present. You are not at the bottom of a hole, asked Toad. No, said Frog. You are not lost in the woods, asked Toad. No, said Frog. You are not being eaten by a big animal, asked Toad. No, said Frog, not at all. Oh, Frog, said Toad, I am so glad to be spending Christmas with you. That's how I feel. I'm glad to be spending Christmas Eve with you. Toad opened his present from Frog. It was a beautiful new clock. The two friends sat by the fire, like RFM and Bill. The hands of the clock moved to show the hours of a Merry Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, that's how it ends. And there's Frog and Toad by the fire, enjoying their life, just like RFM and Bill Reel. Merry
That's
Christmas
so nice.
Eve, everyone.
You're
And
making me wish
hopefully-
you were my dad.
Is that the first time I ever came under time? Did I come under time or did I go over time?
You nailed it.
You did fantastic, is what you did, and that was great. That was great.
I love you
What
guys.
made you think of this story? Because there's a lot of stories in this book, and I'm
honestly,
guessing you
I'm
don't
like-
read them for pleasure.
I'm like, I want to read a story this time. So I said, Margie, is there a Frog and Toad Christmas story? And Margie went right to the Frog and Toad book and found the story. So
perfect.
it
Is
was a
Margie
team-
there in the same house that you're occupying right now?
Yeah. My kids are all here. My daughter just got back from LA and I snuck away.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. You're the best.
I love you guys. Thanks for doing this for everybody. I love what you guys do, and I'm proud to be your friends.
Oh, thank you so much. It's awesome that you would be here on Christmas Eve with us and with everybody. We're all together. Big group hug. Are you trying to get out of here, mister?
No, I love you guys. I'm giving you my love right there.
What does that mean? That's like hook 'em horns where I come from.
That's also hook 'em horns. That's hook 'em horns, isn't it?
That's more hook 'em horns, yeah.
This is I love you in Hawaiian, I think, or sign language, one of the two.
Oh, how nice.
Merry
well, you too.
Love you guys. Miss
Love you too.
Let's
Merry
have a
Christmas.
kick-ass- let's have a
John
kick-ass
Dehlin,
Christmas.
everybody. Mormon Stories, up and coming podcast. See you later.
We'll do what we can. Love you guys.
Bye-bye. Well, I think that's about it. I don't think there's anyone left. And so we're going to say goodnight. I do have one other guest who's right here, okay, in the studio. Let me just come over here to this side. And this is a person who may need some introduction. I don't know. Wendy's here. There's Wendy. Hey, Wendy, how you doing?
Good, all right.
I have to get back with you. Otherwise, you'll be out of focus.
That's okay.
Good heavens. I'm just like a sheet. Wendy, it's so great to have you here. Is there anything you want to tell the people? She's been here since about an hour, at least an hour.
6:30.
Yeah, 6:30. So an hour and a half. If you heard the creepy sound of the creaking door at some point about an hour and a half ago, that was
me.
Yeah, that was Wendy.
When you blamed it on Denver Snuffer, that was her?
No, that was a different noise.
I thought Jesus was coming to visit Denver again, and we were going to all be witnesses.
Natasha's getting mugged and Denver's getting eaten alive.
Yeah.
It's your standard Christmas Eve.
So when RFM gave me the opportunity to come on here tonight, I wanted to take the opportunity to tell the listeners and out there what they mean to me. So RFM recently told me that when he was a little boy, that he had a childhood dream of having his own radio show. And that night, the realization hit him that his dream had come true. And if it wasn't for all the listeners out there and the donors out there, he would not be able to continue to live out his dream. And so that means the world to me. So I wanted the opportunity to say thank you to all the listeners and viewers out there and to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I also really quick want to wish a Merry Christmas to all my family who is out there watching, especially my grandkids, Anaya, Zaire, and Lainey. All right, that's all I have, RFM.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And all you kids, you should be in bed by now. Go get to bed because Santa's coming and you know who you are. All right. Oh, you're back there.
I am still back here. Merry Christmas, Bill.
Merry Christmas, Wendy. Oh, I hope it's one of the best Christmases you ever have.
I know Bill said something, but my earpiece has a 20-second delay.
He said he pities you that I'm your boyfriend. That's what he said. He said he hopes you have a great Christmas, the best one you've ever had.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. So we'll go ahead and close this out. Thank you so much. We have it's very, very tight in here as far as ability to move about. So thank you. Thank you very much. Everybody, thanks for watching. Do you have any final words that you wanted to say?
I had a little poem to read, but I don't want to take up any more time. Let's call this.
It's okay. If people are still here, they're going to hang out for your poem.
No,
you haven't said a darn thing. You've been so busy working all the levers and the mechanisms backstage, making this whole thing run smooth. I want to hear this poem.
No, I say we save it for Mormonism After Dark on Friday.
Okay.
Let's do that. I'll read it to open the show up.
Okay. By the way, everybody, if you haven't done it already, you've got like about 60 seconds to send in. If you have a need, please email me. Brief description and your Venmo information, okay? Your Venmo information, brief description of the need, dollar amount that you need, and we've got our top men working on it. I'll be forwarding these to the appropriate individuals as soon as this show's over, which is going to be any minute now. So please do that. Thank you. And I want to go ahead and look up at the screen, not the screen, but the camera, and say to those people, thank you so much for reaching out and helping us out with this. This was a wonderful idea. Thank you for including us in this good work that you are doing. So thanks for that. Thanks for everybody. Merry Christmas, everyone. And we will see you next Friday at Mormonism After Dark, when at long last we will be able to hear this poem that Bill Reel is tempting us with. Good night, everyone. And once again, Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining us.